very least, if not anywhere else. So, Gwatz, then, we're going to throw it over to you. Creator Series is now in your hands. For good or for ill, which track are you going to choose?
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I've got the F1 website up right now, and I'm looking at all the tracks because I'm definitely gonna forget ones. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like we've got to do something slightly fun. You know, we've got to do a lot of overtaking, I think. Okay, this is what I was thinking. We're gonna go to Vegas, boys. We're gonna go to Vegas. Las Vegas is my pick.
All right then. To Vegas we go. It's
all right. There you go, guys. There you go.
It's been a Creator Series staple, really, as Vegas, but there we are. That's what we're going to end up going to. So thanks very much, Gwatz, for coming in and giving us Vegas, and all the best of luck in the sprint and in the race as well.
Yeah, thanks, Gareth. I'll slip you that £10 later. Thanks, mate. All right, thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Well, there we go then, everyone. So that has been that. I must say, Vegas, a circuit that I think has been Creator Series finale the last 3 seasons in a row, I want to say, Carl.
You say it's been a main staple, and also a firecracker. It's been a dramatic track. Think back to season 9, not too long ago, when Kareem and Ben were fighting for the title. It was a chance for a 3-time champion or a new champion on the block. Different kind of history to be made tonight, but we all know what happened that race. It was complete carnage. There was chaos left, right, and centre. And that's to be expected here tonight. I can't wait. Viva Las Vegas. It's going to be a fun one out there.
Absolutely, and I would do an Elvis impression, but I'm frankly not getting paid enough. So there we are then. We've got everything all set now, so creators will be heading into the race shortly. And of course, reminder, it is a sprint event this weekend. So we've had our marble race. We now have a sprint race to do, in which we'll have all of our drivers just getting aligned and into the grid now, or hopefully will have been done already by our lobby hosts, and then we will get into the racing. Now, as far as that order is concerned, I will be able to read that through for you now. On pole position will be, strangely, GB68. We do have a graphic apparently that's coming, and I'm being told, wait. But I don't really feel like waiting. If they can load it up nice and quickly, then I'll read it off of the graphic. But if not, then maybe I'm going to start doing something else. I'm now getting other sort of panicked whispers in my ear. Please, no, please stop. Please don't do it. I beg you. But unfortunately, that's not going to be possible, Gareth. I am going to get on with it here. And we do have, I'm getting no again. Carl, tell you what, let's play for time here. Let's do some patter. We've got, there we go. We've finally got it. So here comes our starting grid graphic, and with the wonderful Saudi Arabia in the background rather than Las Vegas. But there we go. On the back row, we've got Alex Gillen and Razin Chai. All of that work in the background there, and we don't even have the right track, but there we go. Points for effort there, Gareth Allen. So it is 20th and 19th for Alex Gillen and Razin Chai, respectively. We move up to the next row from the back of the grid, and it's then Karim 7T alongside Formula Kai. Then after them, it will be Maraki and Benjamin Daly. Of course, both these drivers yet to take a Grand Prix win so far this season, and they'll be looking to change that here today. Gwatz, our circuit selector here today, starts in 13th, just ahead of Fabio in 14th position. Then it's Lolinoba and Hayden Gullis, a driver who is having his last ever Creator Series race here today. And don't worry, folks, especially those of you who enjoyed the mean recap, it's not Lolly, it is Hayden Gullis. Ricky 03 lines up in 10th position alongside our rookie in James Early, who will be driving the Sauber here today. Then, you know the pair of them, it's the legends that are Scotty Designs, by the way, and Safso. The pair of them are then in the Haas and the Aston Martin, so no that guy Vince today for the Aston Martin Constructors Charge. Then it's Adam Sanderson down in 6th position alongside Matt 212 in the Alpine, of course a replacement at Alpine for Tom, who retired earlier on this season. Scott Taylor lines up in 4th position in their Kick Sauber, and alongside them is Tukey in the Williams, another later addition to this part of the season. And as we then come down into the last, in 2nd place, it will be Chappers F1 starting there. And GB68, despite the fact he's 2nd in the championship, through a clerical error, has made his way into 1st place. This is not the graphic being wrong, folks. We've genuinely put him in pole. So it should make things a little bit more interesting, if nothing else. But there we are then. So that is your grid for the sprint, and hopefully all the drivers will have gotten their muck in a pile to get themselves ready to go any moment now. Carl, any final thoughts from you?
Final thoughts from me. Good to see some reserves today, obviously. A few drivers missing out, but it's good to see the likes of Safso in the Aston Martin. I think that's a strong lineup. Safso and GB, particularly with them starting towards the front of the sprint race. Be on the lookout for them. There could be a constructor's charge in them yet. Good to see James early here as well. Welcome to Creator Series. And as you all expected, he was the first to arrive. But, it's an open goal in the sprint for GB. But remember, for Alex Gillen, all he needs to do is score 3 points. If he does that, even in this sprint race, the championship is wrapped up in the drivers. What I'd say keep a close eye on, look at that constructor's charge, because that is a tantalising spectacle.
It certainly is. Constructors' Championship to play for, Drivers' Championship to play for, and it's all about to unfold, everybody. I'm going to hand you over to your wonderful pair of commentators, Tom Knight and Tom Wilkinson, and they will now guide you through the first of our 2 F1 races here tonight. Chaps, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. As you can see, we're loading into the lobby, mere seconds away from the first race that could potentially decide the championship here this afternoon. As Carl alluded to earlier, 3 points is all that Mr. Gillen needs to try and accomplish his second World Championship here in the F1 Creator Series. And of course, that Constructors is still hotting up. There's still ample opportunity for any team to kind of nab in there, steal it at the death. But all eyes at the moment surely have to go to the sprint race. GB, on the other hand, needs a near perfect race weekend. I think 34 out of a possible 36 points available if he wishes to win the championship, with, of course, Alex Gillen scoring 0 over the entire weekend.
100%. For this sprint race, the title could very easily be decided if a few factors go against GB and go in the favour of Gillen. GB has to finish inside the top 3 to give himself a chance going into the main race that we'll have in a few minutes' time. Alex Gillen, all he's got to do is finish in 7th place. On count back, he will win the title courtesy of the 3 victories he picked up at the start of the season, winning a couple more along the campaign as well. So 7th will be the target for Gillen to try and chase down. That will put him in a very, very strong position. 6th, actually. I don't know why I'm saying 7th. I can't count.
Well, 7th would, in theory, save him if GB fails to win the sprint race. I mean, technically, GB needs to win the sprint race to try and take it to anywhere into qualifying the main race. The one thing he 100% would need to do is win that main feature race. I think the battle could be between himself and Timo Mardik there. Obviously, Timo Mardik quite proud of the fact that he's got a race win in every single season that he's raced in over the course of his Creator Series history. And fun fact for you at home, he hasn't won one in Season 10, so he'll be chomping at the bit to try and, well, win today's race.
100%. He is one of the OGs, the only driver that's won in seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Had opportunities to do so this season as well. Spa a few weeks ago was second in the season opener at Spain. And I think he was second last week as well in Saudi Arabia, following in just behind Alex Gillen. So he's had the opportunity to get there, but the pace throughout the season hasn't quite been there for Ben, as what we've seen in previous campaigns, but it's just been starting to come back in the last couple of weeks. We saw it in Bahrain a few weeks ago, saw it in Saudi Arabia as well. He looked really, really strong, picked up his first pole position for 18 months. So that's something that's got to go in his favour.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's been an interesting comeback for himself. Obviously, not having a pole position in so long has to be a bit of a knock to the confidence. But obviously, he's had a good result in qualifying last week, had a good result in the main race as well. Maybe there was a little cheeky dive at the final corner, but we'll gloss over that rather quickly. He's now in this for vengeance. Obviously, GB miraculously got back after quite possibly the longest journey for a Creator Series race I've seen. He flew back from Saudi Arabia this afternoon, got back in about 4:30 local time. So he's had about an hour and a half to practice. So there's going to be a lot of contenders going forward for these races.
100%. He's zoomed his way across the world to get himself back into position to try and pick up his first Creator Series championship. But there are going to be drivers, like I said, that are going to be the jokers in the pack. Timo Mardik will be one of them because obviously he is the only driver with multiple Creator Series championships. Alex Gillen looking to become the second driver to do so. How poetic would it be for it to be Timo Mardik and Alex Gillen, the drivers that do have a couple of crowns, as we get ready for the formation lap with Aston Martin and McLaren leading us away. But I think Timo Mardik will be fairly staunch, I think, in his defence of that accolade that he currently holds. He does not want Alex Gillen picking up that championship, even though he has got a tall order to try and stop him.
You're absolutely right. And GB now leads the field through the formation lap. Gwot has already bowed out of the session. I wonder if that's through maybe some technical issues that he's having on his end. Obviously, he was meant to be starting up in 13th place, but obviously will drop rapidly through the order the minute his AI is able to try and take control. GB there has to score near maximum points today, with lots of bad luck for Alex Gillen to even have a chance at the Crater Series Season X crown. And what a place it would be to take a gamble like that and win it in Las Vegas. There is quite possibly not a better venue for that today.
He's a lot to go in his favour. The odds are stacked up against him, but what a jackpot he could pick up if he does manage to steal this title from under the nose of Alex Gillen, who of course does go from 20th in this race. GB starting from pole. We go through the middle sector, trying to get some tyre temperatures up. Got a little bit of a mix actually. A couple of drivers starting on the hard compound tyres. Tim McMahon being one of them from 15th on the grid. We can see Safso here also starting on the white striped hard compound tyres. Nobody favouring the softs, I do believe, as 6 drivers have already been disqualified. One of them being Alex Gillen.
Yeah, starting from the back of the grid on ice-cold tyres will not have been on his repertoire this afternoon, but he knows exactly what he's got to do to try and win the championship today. As we have Hayden Gullis going out in style, reversing down the Las Vegas Boulevard, commonly known as the Strip. Alex Gillen comes across the team radio. Oh, Hayden, I knew it was Hayden. I'm assuming that means we can figure out who the culprit was that made Alex Gillen DSQ from the formation lap.
There's some donuts there, one of the Aston Martins as well. Gwat's back in the sesh, but I don't think he's going to be able to take the lights, which is going to be slightly annoying for him. GB starting from pole. He knows that his championship is a little bit fraught. He's going to have a lot to go in his favour. We're doing some donuts, maybe just to practice for later on as he's jumping around all over the place. We've got an Alpine doing some donuts as well. Matt 212 getting a little bit tangled up over the sausage curves coming into the final sector.
I think there's a few people just doing donuts. From what I've heard, their tyre wear gets reset as we head into the lobby of the race. They all know that Hayden's going to be quite a drag down towards the start-finish line. You can see him not even making his way down to the Planet Hollywood complex, 14, 15 and 16. So maybe just getting some extra heat into the tyres. Obviously, the tyre wear nullifies itself and gets himself ready to go. We do see Matt 212 make his way around the final corner through turn 17. You see Top Golf just on the outside of that corner. Absolutely stunning. Now we await Hayden Gullis, as we always tend to.
Absolutely. I don't know where he is. It's almost like he's peeling off into the pit lane. He's taking so long. Still reversing, of course. Situation again. GB got to finish inside the top 3 at worst. Alex Gillen, if he finishes 6th in this sprint race, will pick up his 2nd Creator Series championship. His first since season number 2. So many storylines at play here. GB on pole. Alex Gillen from the back.
That it is indeed. All 20 drivers now on the grid as Hayden Gullis teleports us to the lights. 5 red lights here. And we're underway for the Las Vegas sprint races. Good pull away from GB Chappers, though, wanting to look to the inside, as does Scott Taylor. Through the first corner, lockups coming nuts and plenty. Matt 212 trying to challenge Adam Sanderson for 5th and 6th respectively. As Scotty Designs, by the way, falls down the order. Left, right and centre. 7, 8, 9 positions almost. As that Haas car falls through. Hayden Gullis makes up 1. As he goes to 16th, Scotty's out already. But of course, we will not have a safety car in this opening sprint race. It's Riccio 3 and Safso fighting side by side. And if you can remember back to the season finale last time out, that was the corner where Safso got stuck.
It's gone as well. Couple of DNFs in the opening half a lap. James Early had a terrible start as well. Didn't get off the grid. Good getaway for Tim McMahon, already inside the top 10. Make that 11th battling away with Gwat's just in there. Safso trying to hold off Lodano. But good start for Gillen as well. From 20th on the grid. Made up 6 places up to 14.
Certainly is trying to pull the way through. James Early with the first penalty of all of our drivers. Tim and Mardick on the absolute rise as they try and head in towards this tight left hand. A little bit of contact as they head through turn number 12. Infamous contact along this Las Vegas straight. Just 1 season ago for Tim and Mardick, but he is managing to survive at the moment, accompanied by both Red Bulls of Gwatz and Karim 7T. And if you can think back to about 6 months ago, this was the battle that could have ended a completely different way.
It didn't go particularly well, did it? Both of them pitched into the barrier. Big contact in the early stages of that sprint race. Chappers, though, clinging onto the coattails very, very nicely on the back of GB. Riccio 3 is the 3rd to bid goodbye in the opening lap of the sprint. But I think the Papaya McLaren, not Alex Gillen, is Chappers this time, battling away with GB. And should, as we up the beam, start the second lap, maybe challenge for the lead down to turn 1. GB going to have to fight it around the outside. Doesn't need to work too hard at this stage, but he does relinquish the lead to Alex Gillen's teammate. Gillen, though, he's in the pits along with Formula Kai. Has he got some damage in the multiple skirmishes that we've seen?
Yeah, according to the Twitch chat, YouTube chat, red front wing for Alex Gillen after some earlier contact, but 17 corners is all it took for 3 cars to end out of this race. Riccio 3, Razin Chai and Scotty Designs, by the way, the 3 that fell, with Kai and Alex Gillen 16th and 17th after making an early pit stop. Of course, they won't get the resolution of a safety car that they traditionally hope for in a race. I think Gillen will not be winning his championship in this sprint here.
No, needs something drastically to go wrong in front of him. A big pileup, similar to something we saw a week ago in Saudi Arabia. The two Ferraris and Lolanoba coming to blows, coming into the final corner. And there were a lot of drivers that made quite a mess on the road. Big damage there for one of the Red Bulls. I think that might be Kareem 17, missing his left-hand end plate on the front wing. Tim Marlick still trying to sink his teeth into Meraki. The battle between two former champions in 9th and 10th, with Infratic following in the footsteps of the pair of them as well. James Early, I think he's probably been in through the pits as well. 14 seconds off the back of the pack. Had a demonstrably bad start. Here comes GB blasting around the outside. He's going to nab that lead back.
Certainly will do. Through 14, 15 and 16, one of the most tight and technical sections of corners on this racetrack. I did notice when we were riding on board with Fabio just a few moments ago that Hayden Gullis also has front wing damage. Of course, not the way that he'd like to see out his Creator Series finale in himself. Scott Taylor setting the fastest lap of the race, a 1:33.5 so far for the Kick Sauber, who stands in 4th position just behind Tukey. But Chappers putting a lot of pressure on GB here as he heads down through the first sector, down Koval Lane towards Caesars.
Yeah, really good job. But is this where GB's just starting to stretch his legs ever so slightly? Got the gap up to 3/4 of a second as Matt 212 pushes his way past Squats in the battle for 13th and 14th. Almost clouting the barrier is Chaps, and GB, I think, is just about to break the DRS to the McLaren behind him. He's just starting to struggle a little bit as GB finds some form, finds some confidence, and just gets to grips with this track.
Certainly does. He's managing to wear those tyres in. Of course, don't forget the top 6, all of those on medium tyres, hoping they're going to last the full 9 laps of this circuit. We've got a couple of drivers on the hard tyres by the names of Safso and Timo Mardik, and the drivers that pit, actually, Gillen and Kai, went for a second set of the mediums as well. Obviously, now they've got that confidence that they will last out. Being curious as to how long the mediums are going to last in this opening sprint race. Are they going to be as competitive come lap 7, 8, 9?
Going to be really interesting. Got to watch for Safso and Tia McMarlock come the end of this sprint race. Safso, I think he's on the move. Is he in the groove? He's going to try and go around the outside of Lolanoba with the helping hand of the DRS. Fat 2.5 seconds clear of Meraki behind them, and Chappers has fallen out of the top 2 places as well. So GB did break the DRS, and Tukey lapping that one up and puts that Williams into 2nd place.
Yeah, but the gap between themselves and GB over 1.5 seconds now. The Williams has a deficit that's going to be difficult to overcome. GB's really started to bed that car in and starts to pull away. A 33 flat for the Aston Martin as Chappers to the inside of Tukey in towards the first corner. Reclaims 2nd position. Of course, they started in this order, 1, 2 and 3, and they'd like to finish in it as well. Scott Taylor also starting in 4th, but talking about big climbers, Karim 7T is up 9 positions from where he once started in 18th place.
Has had a really good start in the mix with Jake, in the mix with Ben. The problem is they're in a bit of a train at the moment, as you can see there, the front wing damage not hampering the reigning champion too much. This is the week that he is going to hand his crown over to one of GB or Alex Ginn. That is some significant damage actually for the Red Bull Racing driver. I'd be surprised if he finishes in the points, because he's not just missing his left-hand end plate, almost missing the entirety of the right side of that front wing. He's been in the wars, hasn't he, Kareem?
He absolutely has, and don't forget as well, he's already out of those points-paying positions. If you're new to F1 or new to the Creator Series, first of all, welcome along. We're fantastic and pleasure to have you here. In a sprint race, only the top 8 are scoring points. No bonus points can be accumulated either, so cleanest driver, fastest lap, all those shenanigans get passed over to the main race. It is only the top 8 that will score points, 8 through 1 in that order from first place.
And it means that with GB taking 8 points, there are 36 available. That'll take us down to 28 available, and the lead will be 25 points. So GB pretty much will have to win the main race and hope that Alex Gillen finishes outside. Realistically, the top 12, he might pick up fastest lap or intermediate pole or the cleanest driver. So even though Gillen's not looking particularly pretty at the moment down in P15, still all under control in the championship.
And of course, if you are looking at the standings, you can do ! standings in the Twitch chat. You can keep an eye as we progress through this race. Whoever, if they end on tied points, it will be Alex Gillen that wins on countback, even if GB wins the main race this afternoon. So take that into consideration, folks. It's going to go down to the wire, provided we don't see any major chaos in the next 4.5 laps.
100%. Starting to see things fan out a little bit as well. 2 seconds between Safso and Jake, 2.5 seconds between Jake and Ben, who hasn't managed to shake Kareem off his tail. That Red Bull could be very speedy in a straight line with the minimal front downforce on that car, and Ben might have to deal with that coming down the strip straight in a few moments' time. 2.4 the gap out in front. Tukey, Chappers, Scott Taylor, Adam Sanson all battling for a bonsai result for all 4 of them, really.
yeah, it's really looking to the best of them at the moment. They've got to try and maybe work their way forward as quick as they possibly can. It's going to be a bit of an interesting one. Obviously, they're stood a little bit in no man's land. They've got GB just in front of them, 2.6 seconds, but then further back, Lolly Noba not being a threat. Yes, he's catching at a rapid rate of knots, but at the moment, he's not within DRS range.
Lolly's got some front wing damage as well, I believe, which is going to be hampering him ever so slightly. If we can just have a look, Hayden Gullis also with front wing damage. Not ideal for either of the RB cars. The hard tyres don't look particularly quick either at this stage, it has to be said. Safso hasn't really made any real impression on the back of Lolly Noba. He got past Lolly a couple of laps ago, handed that place back, and Ben now 3 seconds off the back of Meraki. Scott, that is not good time to pick up a 3-second penalty. I think Adam Sands is going to absolutely love this with a little bit of side slipstream in tow. Probably some batteries. They cascade around the final corner to start lap number 6. The Mercedes surely going to file past, under braking into turn number 1. Does Scott try and fight it around the outside? Going to be fairly pointless, you would imagine, with that penalty. Adam Sands will just want to get this done to try and get up towards the top 3, and he does around the outside.
It's interesting. You said Lolly Nova's got that wing damage. He set a personal best last time out at 33.6, which is only about 6 cents off the fastest lap at the moment. He has got an interesting scenario on his hands. He's fast but with wing damage, as Watts gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, drops him completely through the order. The driver that selected this track is having a nightmare in Vegas.
Not good news at all. Hasn't retired in the pit lane, but is going to drop down into last position. It hasn't been ideal at all for Watts and his teammates. Not exactly benefited from it either, with the heavy levels of front wing damage that Kareem sustained in the opening salvos of this sprint race. 2.7 still the gap had in front. Safso looking very menacingly behind Lolanoba, who's now in the DRS train of the big battle that now goes from second down to the Aston Martin in P7.
Absolutely. It's an interesting train that we've got on our hands. Can Adam Santon maybe close that gap up towards Chappers? And obviously that will make the train 2nd through 7th. There'll be an incredible margin. You can see it there as they run down the Las Vegas Boulevard towards the city centre plaza. 14, 15, 16, an important set of corners. We saw a little bit of shuffling in the positions. That would be Scott Taylor, Adam Sanderson and Lolly Nova all wanting to get involved. Safso's just on the rear. You've got to be careful not to tap that barrier on the right-hand side. It's so easy just to smack it as you're trying to put a little bit of power through the car.
Scott definitely clouted the wall coming out of 16, missing that right-hand end plate. Is this another opportunity for Adam Sanson? Got 4th on the previous lap, had it taken off his hands again by Scott Taylor, but this time gets the job done. We'll hope to try and hold on to that. The problem is Lolanoba, who's looking fairly speedy, nipping at the heels of Scott Taylor as well. Going to have to hang it all the way around the outside of turns 3 and 4. Does the RB have the grip and the traction? Both of them have the DRS. Scott going to continue to fight this one out. Safso sticking his nose in there as well. We could be 3 wide down to the braking zone of turn number 5. It's RB Aston Martin and Scott Taylor pushed to the back of this little group.
Beautiful stuff from Safso there. Just slotted in behind Lolly Nova at the first time of asking. A little bit of contact between himself and Scott Taylor, just as Scott was trying to slot his kick Sauber just in behind the Aston Martin. Nothing to write home about though, and will be able to progress on their way. He's decided that it is just quicker at the moment to sit in that train, pull themselves through, but keep an eye further back. The scarlet red of the Ferrari of Meraki trying to put himself into the fight. Safso past Lolly Nova though, as they head in towards the section turn 12 and on towards the strip.
Important for the Constructors' Championship. One McLaren down the order. Both Aston Martins now nestled inside the top 5. Could be the top 4 very, very shortly as Safso's hard compound tyres just starting to sing quite a lovely tune. With the helping hand of DRS, he might be able to get past Adam Sanderson. There's an opportunity here for Safso as those hard tyres continue to get better and better as the race goes on. We could be in for an Aston Martin 1-2. Lolly's going to try and follow Safso down the inside of Adam Sanderson. Does the job very, very nicely. Chatter just getting all out of shape underneath the rear wing of Tukey. This is going to be quite the scrap in the last couple of laps.
This is where the hard tyres are really coming to pay dividends. We weren't quite sure when that switchover point was going to come, and I said, could it be 7, 8, 9 when those mediums really start to drop off? Lolly Nova looks to the inside of Adam Sanderson, decides there's nothing better of it at the moment. But Safso has got some pace now, trying to start and pull his way forwards. He's got to try and dispatch Chappers and Tukey, and maybe try and catch up with his teammate. Sanderson comes across the team radio saying, not enough, not enough. As yellow flags are out, James Early's made a mistake and is caught up with a load of lapped cars here.
I think Infratix dropped it going through turn number 1 as well, battling it out with Hayden Gullis. These two have got quite the history and quite the infamy battling the pair of them together. Both of them with front wing damage, losing about 10 seconds, and Fabio ending his chances, slim chances, of getting inside the top 8. His teammate currently in 8th place at the moment, and as you said, just arrived on the scene in this battle for 7th, down into what is 8th place with Meraki. The order they're in at the moment, I'm fairly certain that is not the order they're going to be in by the time we get to the braking zone of turn 14.
Absolutely not. I apologise there. I got my kick hours mixed up. Both yellow flags are out at the same time. I was looking at Scott Taylor in the mix, and I thought that was James Early. He is slightly further back with Gwatz just 1.7 seconds up the road. Hayden Gullis dispatches Infratic for 12th place. Of course, not point scoring in the main race. Top 8 will be the only drivers that do score points. Alex Gillen up in 13th as Fabio comes across the team radio. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and that is a good old-fashioned law of, I can't remember what the law's called, but we've got a battle here. Tukey and Chappers scrapping it out through 14, 15 and 16. Safto hot on the heels. Fabio retires at the exit of turn 12. Safto, though, has an opportunity to go round the outside, similar to what happened in the sprint last time out where Tom won it on the inside. He could be looking for a Beezy podium here.
Going to try and dance around the outside. Got one of them in his back pocket. Now battling away with the McLaren of Chappers, who for the moment got himself back up into second position. Outside turns to inside. And it is a Green Machine Aston Martin 1-2. Safso fighting his way through the field from down the order and now into second position. Can he hold it on this last lap? Scott Taylor pushed down to 8th place, but could still pick up a solitary point despite the 3-second penalty. But he's slowing quite considerably there. Has Scott Taylor given up on that one? Because he would have finished inside the top 8.
Given out or run out of fuel, potentially. I'm wondering if that could be an implication on the final lap. He seems to be going incredibly slowly as they make their way into Westchester Drive through past the Sphere towards the elevated monorail. I think he could have run out of fuel here as we head in towards Sands Avenue, riding on board with Safso. He's got Chappers, Tukey, Lolly, Noba, all the way down to Meraki for company. Can he hold them at bay? If we know one thing about Safso, he is an absolute lion when it comes to defending himself and his teammate, and he is looking to secure Aston Martin the Constructors' Championship this evening.
This is going to be very difficult, though. He's obviously backed off a lot to try and give himself all the battery possible. Is he going to try and drop behind the McLaren and then pick up the DRS to get back through? Lolly Noba, I don't think, is going to be having any of it. 4 wide. McLaren, Aston Martin, Williams and RB. Debris being thrown up as Meraki and Adam Sanderson debating places behind. What order are we going to be in? Safso's been mugged by about 4 cars here. He started the straight in second. He's going to drop potentially out of the top 5. Down the inside contact. Safso slams into the McLaren. Is this the car park we were expecting? Somehow everybody keeping it pointing in the right direction. Lolly Noba files through. GB's going to take the win. Chappers, the big loser for McLaren, down to 7th, but Lolly comes out of absolutely nowhere to pick up second place. It wasn't to be, not an Aston Martin 1-2, but it's a 1-3, and good points for the constructors. Adam Sanderson just about sees off Meraki and Tukey. Tim McMardock missed out on 7th by 0.3 of a second, but did come through in 8th to pick up a point ahead of Kareem and Matt 2-1-2. Alex Gillen in 11th, doesn't pick up a point, doesn't pick up the championship yet. 25 points will be the big margin between himself and GB.
Well, any bonus points that Alex Gillen gains in qualifying could be to his advantage. Any bonus points that GB picks up in qualifying will be to Gillen's detriment. It's all still to play for as we head for one 100% race here in Las Vegas. Is the gamble going to go on green on this roulette wheel?
Oh, well. We'll have to wait and see. Will it come up papaya or will it come up green? At the moment, it's quite a big papaya section on that roulette wheel. It has to be said, but as long as GB has a chance, he'll try and make hay while the chance exists. Formula Car in P11 just behind Alex Gillen. Both of them caught out in the opening couple of laps. But the sprint is done. GB needed to pick up maximum points. That is exactly what he's done. And Aston Martin, that is very, very good for their Constructors' Championship push as well. Adam Sanderson, Meraki, Tukey Chappers, and Tim McMardock, your point scorers. Dan Gilligan and Carl. It was an interesting sprint race. Bit of carnage involved, and it does, surprisingly, keep the championship alive.
Oh no. We've lost him to the abyss, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no, he's back!
Oh no! What a terrible miscalculation on my part. Oh well, that's very embarrassing, isn't it? Well, turns out it's not just the behind the scenes, it's the front of the camera that's also having problems here today. But yes, very, very good event that we've just seen there. Lots and lots of action between all the cars, all the drivers. Perhaps not necessarily how we would have wanted it to go for certain drivers. You know, Scotty Designs and Razin both getting taken out in the first couple of corners. Never a good thing to see, but means I suppose they get a little bit of a breather, a bit of time to practice maybe before we get into the main Grand Prix itself and all the qualifying that will follow. Carl, you of course were watching that along with all the rest of us, and you've been able to pick up quite a few clips along the way.
Oh yeah, we said Vegas was going to throw up chaos. It was going to throw up conundrums. The first lap was just an indicator of how incredibly warped this weekend is going to be. So first of all, I did call this Scotty's full sprint POV. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Lights out, away he goes. His race lasted a matter of Well, according to Vegas, 4 corners, but I don't count that as 4 apexes. It's clearly 2. Stop it. Through the first corner, he's attacked from absolutely all angles. Turn 1's not the problem, though. Scotty gets away unscathed in the American Dream. That quickly descends into a nightmare because he's nerfed by a Mercedes, nerfed by a Ferrari, and the second Ferrari comes in. It's a Prancing Horse tag team, and that was Scotty's entire race. Next up, we then go to Ricky, who also retired that same lap. So coming out of the left-hander, Matt 2-on-2, big slide on the Las Vegas strip. We saw that a few times, people making mistakes here and there, burning up those rear tyres. In fact, Safso was the one that made that inspired gamble to go onto hards, and it seemed like it paid off for the most part. As through went Ricky, there goes Safso, Lolino, also with a lethal dose of sumptuous slipstream. Through he goes along. Matt 2-on-2's not done. He's there for round number 2. Ricky brakes late as you dare. Caught up on the curb. Turns across Matt 2-on-2 into the wall. And that's left front gone. Whether he didn't expect Matt 2-on-2 to remain on the outside, I always say you should err on the side of caution a little bit. But caution was not done. So therefore, Ricky also retired. Razin's race, Scotty, consolation. Razin's race wasn't much better. Through into turn 1, he gets damage immediately. But that's part 1 of the story. Then coming through, still bashing the side of Formula Kai as they go around into the second corner of the track. There goes Scotty Designs. Round he goes. Razin tries to avoid. There's contact number 2. Full front wing gone. And as if it couldn't get any worse for the Alpine Ace, the Enstone outfit, the team that are closest, or were closest, in the Constructors' Crusade, leading into the sprint. He's got no front wing. In towards the right-hander he goes. Brutal understeer, and that's the race completely ruined. Now, let's ignore that for a second. Gillen also, by the way, if you're wondering what happened to him, also got damage, and it was the concertina from Scotty retiring as 2 Ferraris came together. It was complete carnage. You had Meraki for 1, that's front wing damage in its own right. Fabio got caught up in all the chaos, and Alex hits into him, and that was pretty much the race gone from there. No points for our Drivers' Championship leader, although, to be fair, probably a bit of an expectation of that when you start right at the very back on a track like Vegas. Someone bet a lottery ticket, though, on starting on a different tyre. That man was Safso, and you know what? I'm all for overtakes in unorthodox places. It's Creator Series. Goddamn go for it. Be as banzai as possible. Burns up the battery before the Las Vegas strip. Lolly saving all the way. Safso throws caution to the wind. Wants the DRS on Adam Sanderson, and through he goes into P5. And then there's just that last lap to look at, and we're here with the big loser of all of that. Chappers ran right in the top 3 all the way through the race. Has DRS on Safso. Not the best exit for the Aston Martin driver, but no DRS games mostly being played. And Chappers, privy to it, he's lifting off the throttle as he sees Safso go late on it at the last moment. Lolly says, absolutely not. I'm not getting involved in those shenanigans. And so, Chappers does get DRS. Lolly doesn't have it at his disposal. McLaren man easily through. At this point, just brake, make the corner. You think that's the end of the story. No, the script continues because he brakes into the left-hander. Gets a slight biff at the side. As through goes Lolly. There he is. And then there's 2 cars. There's Safso and Adam Sanderson, both to his left. And as a result, pinched into the wall. Contact off Meraki. Through goes Tukey. And in a matter of moments, Chappers' race goes from the sublime to an absolute sword and a punch to the gut. Absolutely devastating stuff for him. I mean, he too, after this race, he was absolutely devastated. He can't quite believe he couldn't manage that top 3. And that was just the flavouring. I had so many more clips from that sprint, but we've got a whole race and a qualifying to do, and I don't want to take up your whole evening. What madness, though.
Absolutely. Madness indeed, and who better to talk us through some madness than the man who just won a bit of the madness himself. GB68, you're a man running on, correct me if I get this wrong, 3 hours of sleep, 2 cups of coffee, or the other way around?
Other way around.
Other way around. Okay. So even more caffeinated and even more lacking in sleep. Okay, good.
I was just holding my hand up to the camera, like not even putting this on, and I was like, I swear this is not nerves. I'm not scared or nervous. I'm like shaking on caffeine right now. It's getting me through it slowly but surely.
Well, you know, maybe it's going to provide you that extra little bit of something just to get you there. It's going to be like in those films where people have caffeine and everything they see is in slow motion, and you can just make those extra decisions. In terms of that, sprint, 1 and done, first place, maximum points. So now you've got a chance But of course, it's all going to depend on a lot of other different factors like bonus points, where you finish in the Grand Prix, etc., etc. And Alex actually has a chance to qualify now as well.
Yes, I mean, I was just saying actually that I just realised that I guess if I take Inter's pole, that means, again, very slim odds, but if Alex would DNF and I would win by 1 point, I think, if that's correct. So clearly the Inter Championship or cleanest driver or fastest lap, these kind of individual points are going to actually be very crucial in the race. But yeah, I think to be fair, my title is very fitting for this. I said we need Michael Massey, so shout out to Michael Massey for that sprint race because yeah, that was nice. I enjoyed that.
No, it's not bad. It was not bad. And then, of course, if we obviously a lot of your attention is going to be on the driver's title and the chance to win that. But of course, Aston Martin potential to score a constructor's title here as well. You in first, Safso in third, scoring those good points from our season 1 champion. What's the sort of the thinking now? Of course, you've not got a tiny gap to make up to the McLarens, but it's definitely possible.
I didn't even realise. I thought Vince was my teammate until we were going into the session. My brain's gone.
So
today.
did I, to be honest with you.
But yeah, Saf did an amazing job, and I was cheering him on for the last 2-3 laps. I realised I thought it was just a top fight, or second to 5th place fight, and I saw Saf just creeping closer and closer. I think they were fighting, and as soon as I saw Saf was on the hard tyres as well, I was like, "Come on, Saffy boy, this is huge points." So yeah, so huge for the constructors, and. Hopefully we can have Saf can have a good race because I mean you know what Vegas is like, guys. So we need to avoid the chaos, I think.
Absolutely. Okay, so we do have drivers heading in now. I can see on someone else's stream that they're selecting tyres. You going to reveal to us what tyre allocation you're going for, or are you keeping that stum?
I've gone for softer. Soft tyres are very good here. So if any drivers listening, go for the softer allocation. Recommend it.
There you go. Completely legitimate advice, everybody. Definitely not any underhanded tactics whatsoever. GB, thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully we get to speak to you again after the race. And you never know, maybe it's going to be good news, maybe it's going to be bad news. Sometimes it's a good, sometimes it's a bad, but we'll wait and see.
You didn't quite do that full quote justice there, but yeah, love you, Dan. See you later.
Well, so maybe.
See you in the winners' interview after, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. Of course. I'll leave those nails on the track as well, but there we go. So we are going to throw back over to your wonderful commentators for the rest of the evening. We've got, of course, qualifying to come now, then the main Grand Prix itself. Who's going to win? Who's going to get those bonus points for Inter's Championship, for cleanest driver, for fastest lap? It's all going to be revealed in the not too distant future. But for now, I'm going to hand you over to Tom Knight and Tom Wilkinson.
Well, thanks again, Dan, and welcome to Las Vegas for the second of 3 occasions this evening. We head into our short qualifying where everything is still on the cards. Inter's pole position, and of course, in preparation for that main race event in just a few minutes' time, roughly about half an hour or so. And we are so looking forward to seeing how this one goes. The championship fight, well, let's just say it is definitely hotting up now.
100%. This is probably the most important intermediate pole that we've ever had in the history of the Creator Series. With that gap at 25 points, obviously that is the equivalent of a race victory. If Alex Gillen can take it to 26, means that means that GB will have to either get fastest lap, and get the cleanest driver award, and hope that Alex Gillen retires from the race. So there's quite a lot of waiting in this, even though it is just 1 point.
Absolutely. The question will be, who's going to go for that Inter's pole? I mean, it's not critical now for GB to try and get that Inter's pole position. His main focus will almost certainly be on provisional pole position. And just for confirmation for folks at home, it's Scotty Designs, by the way, with a Y. It's not one that you'd like to see misspelled. I know he doesn't appreciate it being misspelled at all.
Should have put an apostrophe between the it's and the s as well, but we'll gloss over from the terrible grammar from our producer. Bet you can't guess who it is. But we are out on the circuit looking at said Scotty Designs. By the way, I don't actually know what tyres he's on. I haven't looked at the telemetry. They're red strap soft compound tyres.
Well, it's close for all of our drivers. It's interesting to see which way they're going. GB, on the other hand, though, on intermediates.
Unsurprising. Alex on the Inters as well. Interestingly, if you wanted even more spice thrown in, Scott Taylor, Hayden Gullis, Infratic, all on the wet tyres. So they've seen something on the radar that we haven't spotted clearly. They want to go on those blue stripe tyres to try and well, prepare for the monsoon that's clearly going to hit the Las Vegas circuit anytime now.
I'm curious. I'm looking at our weather radar. I can't see any rain expected, but then again, we might have a bit of a broken weather system. It has happened before. We've seen rain come out of absolutely nowhere. We've had one sprint race that has maybe had some divine intervention. So who knows? Maybe the sprinklers over at the Piazza may accidentally hit the track.
Yes, Hayden going backwards. A lot of traffic here for Scotty to deal with, actually, in probably the worst part of the circuit. The really technical middle sector is a Mercedes who's not being particularly kind and not getting out of the way at all. And Scotty's going to have to get a face full of that dirty air going through the middle sector. Yes, they cut over the course, but that means that all that's going to happen is Scotty re-catches them up, and he's not going to be very delighted about what's going on here.
Yeah, he may be hoping for a bit of a tow as well from his teammate, obviously from McKay, who is now behind him as they make their way down Sands Avenue towards turn number 12. Gets past a couple of them, and they have got an Aston Martin just in front of them. A little bit of a tow down the Las Vegas Boulevard will not be too disheartening for Scotty Designs, by the way, if they get out of the way. That could be Safso, more importantly, as he peels to the outside, intermediates on. But I think that could also hurt Safso's into pole run, if that is indeed that particular Aston Martin.
100%. And there's the trade-off. Dirty air in the middle sector. Lovely slipstream going down the very long straight and into the braking zone of 14, 15, 16. A little bit too late, a little bit lazy on the track limits of Scotty. For that was compromised before. Certainly compromised now because he's invalidated. And there is Scott Taylor on the wet tyres, clearly struggling for a bit of pace as he crawls down the final couple of corners. And Formula Kai has a 5-place grid penalty.
Not the start that you'd like to see there as we head into Vegas. Safso sets the fastest lap at the moment at 35.790 on a set of the intermediates. We have got drivers going slightly faster as well. We've got Ricky 03 who's making their way through. Purple in the first sector. Razin Chai was purple in the second on a set of intermediates as well. Couldn't go faster than Safso. Lolly Nova, though, does go faster with a 34.897. For the Italian stallion at the final time of asking here in Season 10. We've got just under a minute and a half left on our Inters pole competition. Keep an eye on GB, though. He is absolutely flying at the moment. Green in the first sector. Track did flash purple in the second. We'll wait and see how it goes.
And Alex Skinner, who's also on his intermediate pole lap, is in that big gaggle of cars, that big load of traffic that Scotty Designs found himself in as well. Tukey, I think, has had some kind of drama on his first attempt on the soft compound tyres. Won 40.8. That is not particularly competitive one bit. GB not purple in the first sector, not purple in the middle sector either for the intermediate runners, matching the pace set by Gwatz, has to be said, as Kareem 17, reigning champion, goes half a second clear at the top of the timing charts.
Beautiful stuff from Karim 70. He may not be in the championship fight anymore, but of course will be looking for a Red Bull to hopefully try and steal something in terms of the constructors. We ran it through our system. They've been told they need an absolute perfect weekend and the McLaren flop to try and secure any hope of the championship. They don't even have one finger on it at the moment, but it could still come to fruition. GB up towards the line, second fastest on a set of the intermediates, immediately stolen away by Tierman Marduk, and that relegates GB down to third place.
And Alex Gillen not at the races on this lap as well. A couple of tenths down in each sector, so I don't expect this to be challenging. Kareem at the top, slots into position number 7. And with both of their runs completed, Ricky 03 saying the fastest time on the soft, 3 seconds a lap quicker than anybody else. But that means we stay as we were. 25 points will continue to be the margin, and we won't get any bonus points handed out until we get to the very end of this race, which means, of course, GB is going to have to pick up one or more bonus points. Because of the countback rule, Alex Skinner has more race victories. GB is going to have to try and find something else from somewhere now.
He absolutely did. Donuts, I think, for Alex Skinner, just getting out of the way of a few drivers as he tries to make his way in towards turn 5 through Caesars Forum. And I think he'll be a little bit disheartened to be the second slowest on the set of the intermediates. Obviously, James Early and Safso have gone out again on the set of the soft tyre. My apologies. As Gillen rushes back to the pit lane to try and get as many laps as he possibly could do in for the full soft tyre runs. And here's the live standings as it currently looks. 208 points to the name of Alex Gillen. GB 68, 25 points or a race win behind him on 183. Razin Chai with 156. Formula Karim 70 on 147 after gaining that extra point and jumping ahead of Formula Kai, who's on 146.
Another championship going on as well. If you're in the Creator Series Discord, you'll see this most weeks in the fan zone. You've also seen it in the chat as well. Satar 11 with the intermediate champion, which goes to our reigning Creator Series champion in Kareem 17.
It absolutely does. And it's fantastic to have a little another championship running in the Discord. That's what I love about the community. Quite often we'll hop in the Discord and I do look at Fanzone from time to time, and I'll just see this other championship kind of running on the side, and it's fantastic. What I'm going to say who's running it. Setar Elvin over in the Twitch chat has been running it all season, and it is all their hard work that makes it run. Obviously, they take the stats, the standings from the races and the qualifying that we do, puts it into that championship, and Karim 17 has come out victorious. I've been told that Scott Taylor is going for valid reverse laps, and so far he's making it work.
It's a little bit loosey-goosey, though, on technically the rear end, even though that's the one that's pointing to the forwards direction. That's going to be a fascinating battle, isn't it? Scott Taylor versus Hayden Gullis, two of the titans of the Creator Series, battling it out to see who... Well, it's the challenge to see who could be faster, who could be slower reversing around the track. That's an interesting one for everyone to deliberate on.
I'll let Twitch chat decide that, and YouTube chat, of course, as you are now sat and ready and live on that platform. Scott Taylor coming across the Team Radio. I just nailed that corner. That was beautiful. I think we might need to get Clipbook Carl in to have a review of some of the apexes that he must be hitting in reverse. But, of course, if you are sat at home watching, let us know where you're watching from, who you think is going to be victorious here this afternoon, as Scotty Designs puts his car up in 4th place. And Scott Taylor once again over the Team Radio. Kai, push me, Kai.
So this is on an outlap, though, so obviously it's not going to count Hayden on an outlap as well, so maybe this is just warm-up for later on. I'd be interested to know what the wear is going to be like for cars going in reverse. Let's face it, he's probably not as good as Adam Sands, although Scott Taylor, if somebody said that to him, I think you'd see the web camera that he normally has vibrating to some tune because of the anger and the rage that's built up by somebody saying that Adam Sanderson is a little bit quicker.
I don't quite know how it's going to go. Apparently, according to Clipbook Carl, the clock is moving for Scott, as now he's faced a bit of a conundrum as he reverses into the wall to get out of the way of one of the Ferraris heading their way around. Hayden Gullis similarly reversing down the Las Vegas Boulevard. There must be some very confused fans who are watching from the sideline, seeing about 18 cars all facing the correct way. Then you've got Scott Taylor and Hayden Gullis reversing rather slowly down the boulevard. And you can see here what Sapso sees as he comes up towards turns 14, 15 and 16. Thankfully, Hayden's nowhere in the way, and I've been told DRS is open for the cars even in reverse.
Just for that extra little bit of drag reduction, not going to be distracting one bit. It was a lovely J-turn, though, from Scott Taylor, wasn't it, into turn 14. Safso fastest in the middle sector, will be looking to put that Aston Martin onto provisional pole. Cuts the beam and does so by the tune of half a second. 31 flat, we should be in the 1 minute 30s comfortably by the end of our qualifying session. But that is a good lap time from the second Aston Martin. The Season 1 champion returning as a reserve once again in Formula Kai, despite the 5 place grid penalty, I should say, tracking very nicely as well.
Absolutely. It's going to be an interesting one for all of our drivers. Scott Taylor has registered a time, 4 minutes and 58 seconds, 0.399. It does eventually get that car turned around. Kai goes quicker by the barest of margins, 4 thousandths of a second quicker than Safso previously registered. I would love to see the telemetry for Hayden Gullis' reverse lap. There we go, 4 minutes and 14 seconds, 0.827. So if we can do the maths there, that's about 40 seconds quicker than Scott Taylor managed to go in reverse here in Las Vegas. Obviously, they are causing a little bit of chaos and conundrums here in the beautiful desert that is Las Vegas, Nevada. They are just wanting to maybe put a few drivers on edge and not quite aware of what's going on around them.
Great first set from Fabio. Does he dip into the 130s? No, lost a little bit of time in sector 3. Slots into 3rd place, 31.2. The reigning champion, though, Karim 17, is absolutely flying out there. Purple sector 1, purple sector 2. And when we pick him up, coming through the final couple of corners, there is the reigning champion. I think this should be absolutely smashing the benchmark set by Formula Kai and should be the first driver into the 1 minute 30s as we follow the reigning champion round the final corner. There it is. Whoa, 1 minute 30.3. Serious time, serious wheels, serious driver at the wheel of that Red Bull car.
Over 7 tenths clear to Formula Kai. Not something that you see every day. Purple 1, purple 2, purple 3 for Karim 17 there. Maybe we're seeing glimpses of the old Karim really starting to come. And of course, the track where he won his championship last time out is starting to maybe have memories back to that.
100%. Just starting to get back in the groove, is he? And this is actually Cream 70's last race with the racing line on. He's picked up a lot of flack, hasn't he, over the years for driving with the racing line. Well, for next season, he's saying he's going to be turning the racing line off, which is going to be a fascinating one. Alex getting a little bit down on the time in Sector 1 and Sector 2 set by Formula Crew. This should slot him inside the right ballpark. It does, 1:31.1, but slower than Adam Sanderson, which will be a little bit of a cause for concern for the championship leader, slower by just under a tenth of a second. I'm imagining that Adam Sanderson got one hell of a slipstream there as Tim McMurdoch now pops up into second place on a 31 flat as well.
Keep an eye on GB though, quick in the first sector, was average in the middle sector, 29.6 for himself. Can he find a miracle in the third sector? We've got just over 5 minutes left to go in qualifying, just enough time for 1 or 2 more runs if you're absolutely quick or maybe overfuel a little bit. For the first time, Martin comes through the final corner. Can he put a good time on the board? He can. It's a 30.8, just over half a second gap to Karim. But in terms of starting position, GB and Alex Gillen separated by 6 places here.
Won't concern Alex too much at this stage. Only 3 tenths down on GB. Alex usually finds a little bit more time as the qualifying session progresses. Gwat's a little bit indecisive as to whether he wants to come into the pits or not. Decides eventually he's going to come down pit road. But Adam Sanderson, what a lap time. He's got 2 former champions, 3 former champions, in fact, comfortably slotted in his back pocket. Meraki, Alex Gillen and Razin Chai dealt with, and he's only just under a tenth of a second off the back of his teammate in third.
Tim McMurdoch confident that he can find time in that middle sector, which is slightly more one of the tricky sectors. It's the front hoofs of the pig. If you want to imagine the Las Vegas track like an upside-down pig, like many do, as you head through Westchester Drive past the Sphere, it's one that you have to get absolutely right. It's probably one of the more technical on this circuit. The rest of it seems to be pretty much flat out, which is why a lot of people do love it and hate it. A very Marmite track. If you're from the UK, you'll understand that probably a little bit more. If you're from Australia, a Vegemite track, I guess.
I've never heard the reference in Australia. So if anybody is Australian, and there is a saying that it's a bit of a Vegemite scenario. Some people love it, some people hate it. We'd love to be informed on that one.
We certainly will. If we've just coined a phrase as well, does anyone know anyone in the copyright office?
I think we need to get that signed off. Although, I mean, off topic, if you were to pick one of Marmite or Vegemite, I mean, I'd definitely be leaning the way of Marmite, I have to say.
I think I said it. I can't say I've tried Vegemite, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to promote Marmite in the chat. In the chat, our producers is coming over and saying, "What about Bovril?" And I'm not going to give that any further thought. That's what I think of Bovril.
Damn. Well, answers on a postcard there. TK doesn't like Bovril, everybody. Safso in P5, Season 1 champion, 31 flat. The Aston Martin's once again doing nicely. 10 points is the deficit between McLaren in first and Aston Martin in second in the Constructors' Championship. And if it stays like this, I believe Aston Martin would take what will be their third Constructors' Championship in the Creators Series. So, 2 McLaren boys just need to get their skates on ever so slightly. Chaps in P12, Gillen in P8. Scotty Designs, by the way, has been in the wars a little bit in this qualifying session as well. Had 2 laps that have been slightly compromised. 16th place at the moment on a 1:32.4, but is improving through the first couple of sectors.
He absolutely is, trying to make up ways and make time as he heads in towards 14, 15, 16. Scotty Design still in with a shout of getting towards that top 10. He'd love to try and start in amongst the top 10 after what was, let's just say, an anticlimactic sprint race for the young Scotsman. Runs up towards the line, invalidates as he comes across that final corner. Heartbreak for Scotty Designs.
Criminal. Send him to jail. Scotty, do not pass go. That is poor. I love you, Scotty, but that is not great. James Early improves by nearly 6 tenths per second, but stays only in P17, the last of the representative times on the board because Lolly hasn't set a lap time on the soft compound tyres. Here comes Safso, Season 1 champion. Is it an improvement from 5th? Goes up to 4th, and it is Aston Martin 2-4 now. Finds a little bit of time, but stays in the 1:31 for Scotty Designs. Throws it into the barrier, absolutely disgusted by his efforts there. It's going to be 16th at best for our meme king.
Stick that in your meme recap, Scotty. 16th place, the best you'll be starting here this afternoon. All jokes aside, absolutely love Scotty. Fantastic work that he does week in, week out. James Early, starting down in 17th at the moment, is looking to try and make his way through. Hayden Gullis on your screens, though. His final race as a full-time driver in the Crate Series. He's confirmed he won't be racing next season as he chases his dream of becoming a Digimon content creator. Hayden rips. Well, let's see if he can rip here in Las Vegas this afternoon.
nearly ripped the front right tyre off that RB car by slamming it into the barriers. He's traded the wet compound tyres for a set of the intermediate tyres, so the weather just improving ever so slightly for Hayden Gullis. Can't take the intermediate pole time away because we are outside of the 6 minutes that it could be set. But with a minute to go, it isn't going to be a reverse that for him and Scott Tay. They are going to be fighting on the green striped rubber. A couple of drivers that are... No, nobody in the pits. I thought a couple of drivers were still waiting down pit road, and that would have been a very silly decision considering there's only 50 seconds of the lap left.
I think Hayden Gullis is looking to help out his teammate who is suffering from the Hayden Gullis teammate curse. Speaking though of Scotty Designs, we have got some live team radio from inside the Haas car. Yep, I think that checks out. Scotty Designs, unfortunately, being the only retirement as Hayden Gullis cutting the corner as he makes his way through 7, 8, and 9. And you can see maybe just setting it up as Lottie Nova makes his way through the same set of corners and towards the Las Vegas Boulevard. That'll be the optimal place for a tow. And Hayden Gullis being somewhat selfless here in Vegas.
100%. Not sure if you caught it though, because that bleep machine I think can apply to Kareem 70 as well, because he picked up a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking on the out lap. So that is the driver that is by far and away the quickest over one lap. He won't be starting from pole position. That would put GB net, of course, there still runs to be had as Formula Kai won't be improving on P5. GB up to pole position. That might just make Alex Gillen sweat ever so slightly. Rasenchai looking a little bit unstable. The RB's trying to do some teamwork as well. Look at this weaving going on. Not a particularly good run there from Rasenchai. I'm not sure which Mercedes that was either.
No, Hayden Gullis just in the background of the shot, moving out of the way and deep into the braking zone as we watch Matt 212 comes down Harmon Avenue towards turn 17 to finish off his lap. Be careful not to go across the track limits for himself. Can he cut the queen? Yes, he does. Goes 12th fastest. Lottie Nova can't go quickest though. He'll start from second place. GB has work to do if he wants to try and start from the front after Karim 17 got that earlier grid position. The penalty that will be applied to that Red Bull. Can GB find any improvement? There's purple sectors here, there and everywhere as Team and Monica's purple in the second. Can he try and bout to charge for provisional pole position here? Runs up towards the line. Can he go fastest? No, second place it'll be.
Could it be back-to-back poles, though, for Tim McMardick? Who would have thought that? Alex Gillen needs to improve, but finds it. Gets into the 1-minute 30s. Net third on the grid, although I think he's going to be bumped by his teammate. No, he's not. And Chappers with a decent lap there, though. GB is improved by quite a lot. Is he going to move up back into second place? Yes, he does, with the penalty that's going to be applied to Kareem 17. Surely that is going to be GB starting from pole position as Meraki up into P5. And that is the perfect scenario from GB's perspective, starting on provisional pole position. Rasenchai, though, has had an absolute mare. Former winner of this Grand Prix, but he's going to start from P15.
He certainly will. We've heard word as well that Hayden Gullis and, well, now Anne Rasenchai doing donuts on the grid as they get themselves prepared and ready. Rasen's reversing. He's going to get himself disqualified and start from the back just to take it away from Hayden Gullis, who is doing donuts down at turn 15. You can see just his little dot at the bottom right-hand side of your track map as Rasenchai gets disqualified and wishes to start from the back. Hayden Gullis sending off his form in Vegas here. He wanted to start from last. He will not start from last as Rasenchai beats him to the punch. One thing before we hand back to our presenter and clipbook duo, one thing that I want to bring up for the main race, even if GB has a perfect race today, if he wins and then he gets the fastest lap as well, Alex Gillen can still win the championship if he gets the cleanest driver point.
Absolutely. Well, there we go then. Thank you very much to everybody in the commentary booth for another stellar session. One which makes us all, feel warm and fuzzy inside by listening to it. Carl, in terms of that qualifying session, of course, penalty for Karim, that then massively changes the face of the game here, really. It means you've got a driver who's arguably the quickest, who is now going to be coming back through the field and is going to be mixing it in with that championship contender in the form of Alex Gillen before he then would potentially move on to getting up towards GB at the front. Of course, GB wants to win the race. It's the only way he can win the title. Ben Daly, who starts alongside him, wants to win the race because he's not won a race so far this season. So there's a lot of plates spinning heading into this one. And then, of course, to top it all off, in terms of the constructors' battle, we've got a decent showing from the McLarens. We've got a much better showing as a team from the Astons. The Alpines seem to be absolutely nowhere in comparison, and compounded by the fact that Rasen got himself disqualified from the session.
Yeah, it's not... To say it's not been great for the Enstone outfit, it's probably a bit of an understatement. Yeah, it's in McLaren and Aston's court, I'm pretty sure, for constructors-wise. By the way, if you're all wondering, what on earth happened to Kareem 70? I'll tell you now, it's ridiculous, quite frankly, because we're coming up to the end of the Las Vegas Strip. Look how slow everybody else is going, first of all. So, just take an account of that. Everybody getting ready to get some clear air. Not too dissimilar to what we see from real-life Formula 1, and much more of an impetus to do so because of that dirty air, to give yourself that clear track. He's got Gwatz behind him. Gwatz looking for a tow on his last qualifying push in the final flurry of laps. And he gets up to the 50-meter board. There, 5-place grid penalty for illegally blocking his own teammate, who he was talking to. And Kareem doesn't even notice this. He's talking about brake bias settings, bearing in mind. So he goes off to start his lap, hasn't realised still at this point that he has a grid penalty slapped onto his head. Bet it all on Red Bull, and it came out black in the stormiest cloud of the stewards possible. But, by far, my favourite part of qualifying had to be the clash of the titans. That was the reverse laps, quite literally reverse. We have Hayden Gullis going through past the Las Vegas Sphere, and I can tell Hayden's a bit of a seasoned pro at going through this reverse rodeo, because through he goes, through the left-hander. Absolutely wonderful rotation through the corner and then back on the power once he's confident, once the car is in a straight line. He's loving it. That was indeed a beautiful apex. Same can't be said for Scott Taylor. You're wondering how on earth he shipped 40 seconds on his reverse attempt. There was multiple instances of this particular eventuality. Through goes Scott Taylor towards the left-hander, clips the curb. That unsettles the car. And the rear end, which is the front end, but the rear end in this scenario overtakes him. And that was the end of his particular push for, well, quite frankly, pride. Wearing their heart on their sleeve, all of these drivers. But that's all the clips I have for qualifying. To go back to your point, though, Dan, I completely agree. The art of psychological warfare is going to be so interesting. Like you say, GB has to play this very carefully. Alex knows he has to take it sort of carefully, but ball is in his court. GB has to have a perfect weekend. Ben, others, they've got nothing to lose. It's going to be all guns blazing in Las Vegas.
Nothing to lose. It's town in France, and it's also a sign of crazy things to come here in Creator Series. Well, thank you very much then, Carl, for that astute analysis there. And of course, we've now got just a moment or two, you would hope, if the creators are quick at getting themselves back into a lobby. Hopefully, we should be ready to go in just a moment or two's time. But as it is then, we've got ourselves now, is there any indication from our gallery that we're about to get going? We're waiting for players, apparently, so we're just waiting for that to all get started. Let's just have a quick look at the drivers' standings. So these have all been updated for you, headed into the Grand Prix itself. We've got Alex Gillen leading the way. Only he or GB68 can win this title. Everybody else is out of it. You've got them separated by 25 points right there. That means that GB needs to win this race and get a bonus point in order to secure the title. But of course, all of that is to come. I'm going to hand you over now to your commentators, to Tom Knight and to Tom Wilkinson, for the beginning of the formation lap.
Well, one more formation lap here in Season 10 of the Creator Series. One more time for our drivers, maybe to force their rival to start on ice-cold tyres. It's a complete rainbow across the grid as we do see Tim and Mardik and Gwatz both reset to their grid positions as well. And it's two drivers starting on the softs. It's going to be Tim and Mardik and Formula Kai. A handful on the mediums by Lolly Nobet, Safso, Gwatz Chappers, Infratic, James Early and Hayden Gullis, and everybody else opting for the hard tyres, including GB68, that starts from the front here, Tom.
That's going to be interesting. Early safety cars as well might just throw a spanner in the works of a couple of strategies. Who was that? Of course, is Hayden Gullis, who in all of this as well has managed to find himself back in his familiar position of position 20 on the starting grid. He didn't actually eliminate that Alpine there because they managed to pause the game in time. They were wise to the attack coming from Hayden Gullis behind them. Tim McMarlin, though, he's been thrown back to the grid onto the naughty step along with Kareem 70, his teammate Gwatz inside the top 10, along with Chappers, Infratic, Formula Kai. They're dropping like dominoes.
They absolutely are. It's going to be a question there of how many drivers are actually going to make it to the grid with warm tyres. Tim Mardik betting on an early safety car, which could explain why he's gone for the soft tyres to start off this race. And obviously will benefit from the jump maybe to try and get GB in towards the first few corners. The question still remains which way this is going to go. It's going to be, oh my goodness, Hayden Gullis trying to take out the Williams there. I can't tell that one. I was going to say, I can't tell if that's Tukey or Riccio 3. There's confirmation for you. Riccio 3 also reset, as we're now left with just 9 drivers on the main grid without being reset.
He went for the Aston Martin of Safso there, but just missed him, slamming it into the wall. Still opportunities left for Hayden, though, if Safso isn't wise to what is going to be coming, although they're going to be preparing to get themselves into the grid box. Almost a brake check applied by Safso there to try and catch Hayden Gillis out. Beat him at his own game, and that is a very nice one. But for the final time, we have everybody lining up on the grid. It's a cold track temperatures. That might provide the advantage for the drivers that aren't starting on the hard compound tyres. There's a championship at play as well. GB has to win and pick up a bonus point. All Alex Gillen has to do is finish inside that top 15.
It certainly does indeed. I hadn't quite appreciated how cold this track is. Obviously, it's a night race. You will have those elements come into play. 15 degrees is the track temperature. Incredibly cold here in Las Vegas. 12 degrees in the air. So our drivers already have to work to get some tyre temperatures into their cars. But all 20 cars in their grid positions at the moment. Lights being lit with all 5 there. And they're gone, and we go racing in Las Vegas. GB with a good pull away. Timo Mardik will try and challenge in towards the first corner. The better, softer tyres working to his favour as Lolly Nova will slot in third. Gillen and Meraki trying to battle it out. Sixth, of course, is where Karim 17 started. No one is starting to make too many inroads. Alex Gillen, though, getting past Meraki at the first time of asking. As we run down towards turn number 5. Who's going to be better on the brakes? Gillen to the inside line, gets the move done. Karim 17, though, wanting to try and force his way past Meraki. Meraki saying no. They're running two abreast in towards the Mickey Mouse section. Who's going to come out better? The Red Bull has the inside line. Meraki could be a bit braver, though. Karim gets through.
Side by side for nearly half of that, but I think Karim is eventually going to muscle his way past the Season 4 champion, putting the Ferrari in his back pocket. Got to be careful, though, because there is a very feisty looking Adam Sanson arriving on the scene as well. I don't think this is quite over either, because Meraki all over the back of the Red Bull, even though Karim got past fairly comfortably going through the Mickey Mouse section, as we said. But look at in front, Timo Mardik is absolutely checked out already on his soft compound tyres, and GB from pole down into third off the grid.
Question will be now longevity for those softer tyres. You can see the gains and the losses all amongst our field. GB68, who has dropped 2 positions, now right on the front of Alex Gillen. Of course, came up 1 position, started in 5th. And now Gillen has got his eyes set on the spin. That's a spin by the Haas car. Is that Formula Kai that's gone round, or is that Scotty Designs, by the way?
Formula Kai, definitely Formula Kai, who is in that mid-pack. Lots of front wing parts scattered across the circuit. Timo Mardik with the fastest lap. I wonder if the 2 Alpines were caught up in that one. Kai trying to make the most of those soft compound tyres, but he's now missing quite a substantial amount of front downforce. We've got a McLaren all over the back of him. Fratic, who lost 2 seconds on this first lap, took what's in P9 in front. I think that's courtesy of the little dramas that Formula Kai was having down into 14, 15 and 16. Still having it out, Kai and Raz and Chai, who have had some afters already in the Creator Series, in their short Creator Series rivalry careers, but this should be fairly straightforward with the DRS for the Alpine Season 5 champion up into P13 from the back of the grid.
Don't expect a fully dry race, though, here at the moment. We are hearing word from our man a few kilometres away at the moment that we are expecting some rain at some point in this race. The question is, when is that going to come? And have the drivers that have started on those hard tyres really started to gamble on the strategy? I cannot wait to see how this race goes. It wouldn't be Las Vegas without just a little bit of a downpour.
100%. And maybe Hayden was just slightly too early on the weather forecast. That's why he was running the wets in qualifying. It's foreshadowing. We never realised it. We should have picked it out in qualifying. But Alex Gillen struggling a little bit for pace on lap number 2 of 50. I think he's going to be swept aside by Karim 17, the reigning champion, by the time the DRS flaps open. And the Red Bull should absolutely blast past the Papaya McLaren car. One McLaren moving backwards, the other one going forwards, though, as Chappers takes 10th place off the hands of the Ferrari of Infratic. The second Ferrari, Meraki P6, wasn't actually close enough to make any real impression on Alex Gillen, who did drop behind the reigning champion.
Chapper's really starting to find his own at the moment. Once he's in a rhythm, he seems to be a car that wants to be reckoned with. We ride on board with Meraki as Alex Gillen just moving out of the slipstream of Karim 17, maybe just reminding the Red Bull that he is in fact there. He is there and he wants to try and go for it over the next 47 or so laps of this Las Vegas Grand Prix. He knows he can just sit pretty, though. All he needs to do is score 1 or 2 points. As it stands, he's going to have the work done for him as Jimmy, out of the winning position, satisfies the requirement for Alex Gillen to win the championship.
I wonder if that was Gillen as well, maybe just trying to get some extra tyre temperatures in the front tyres, because we saw at Bahrain in particular, Alex Gillen really struggled to get some energy and some temperature in the front tyres in particular. Not too dissimilar a circuit, not too dissimilar conditions, although Middle East compared to the United States, there is a slight temperature difference, it has to be said. But Gillen clearly just struggling a little bit with those tyre temps, but once he gets them under control and into a better operating window, he should be really ride on the back of Kareem and getting himself back into this battle for the podium places, because things out in front have stabilised ever so slightly. We know the soft tyres are absolutely terrible. Team McMahon with a 1.4 second advantage over Lolo, but equidistant back to GB and P3 as well.
Apparently we're already hearing graining issues for Team Marduk on the fronts especially. They're really not managing to grip as much as he would have liked. Obviously, they're only 2.5 laps old at this point, approaching the end of that third lap, and I think he was hoping, begging, maybe even praying for that safety car, as we do see Karim 70 getting the better of GB68, who falls down to 4th place. Fabio gets past Chappers as well, slightly further back as they make their way in towards turn 14, 15 and 16, the little complex just before the long run down towards the start-finish straight. But the tyres are a real mystery here in terms of longevity and who's on the right strategy. Ben comes across the team radio saying Adam in P7, awesome from Adam, and a little bit of respect shown amongst teammates.
Yeah, remember back to Miami, they worked together absolutely perfectly to get Adam Sanderson's best result in the F1 Creator Series, P4, with Tim McMahon following him home in P5. If they can repeat something similar there, Mercedes, they can't win the Constructors' Championship, but my word, that'll be some really good form to go into the next season. Alex Gibbs still trying to get some energy in the front tyres. Those hards really struggling to warm up. Other drivers not doing some weaving that we're seeing from Alex Gibbs, so maybe it is just the McLaren issue that Alex is struggling to get some energy into those tyres.
I think that could be the case, to be fair. I think DRS is being strong. You can see the gap between Karim 17 though and Lonnie Nova over 2 seconds at the moment. If you look at the titles on the left-hand side, 1, 2, 3, it's soft, medium and hard in that order. So we're really seeing how that deficit is affecting the top 3 cars in terms of their order. I think the mediums are starting to come into their own ever so slightly. The question's going to be, can Ben look after them for the next few laps? I don't think we're going to see the safety car that he was predicting. The chaos never really came. Tuki's been into the pit slightly earlier on, substituting a hard set for a brand new medium set. And there was positions made in that mid-pack as well.
And just on the strategy for Ben, I'm going to hold that thought because we are seeing some moves. GB takes 3rd place, back away from Kareem 70. Safso was tracking nicely down the straight as well and get past Adam Sanderson, retains position number 8. But Ben's just got to be careful with his strategy. More jostling for position going on into 14, 15 and 16. Formula Kai desperately trying to hold on to places. Hayden Gullis around the outside lurking. I think he's going to take 14th place away from the wounded Haas car of Formula Kai, who was sideways on lap number 1, missing bits and pieces of his front wing, and he does drop behind Hayden Gullis. Safso did get ahead of Adam Sanderson as well on the run down into turn number 1. But just to try and get that thought out on Tim Marduk, if there wasn't an early safety car, which there hasn't been, what is the strategy now for when that rain comes? Does he try and eke this out to the weather? We're not 100% sure when it's going to come. We're hearing reports of 15 minutes. Will the track get wet stuff in time? Will the soft tyres hold on long enough to take him to that period?
I'm really questioning what this weather's going to do. We were told right at race start it was about half an hour. There's no way we've had half an hour of racing in 5 laps. And that time's already down to about 15-20 minutes according to our weather report. So it is incrementally starting to creep in towards this circuit. Obviously we're in the desert. We don't often see rain, but when we do see rain it is incredibly heavy. But I can tell you who's got a little bit more information for us. Mr. Carl has got some information. He's got his ear to the ground. Maybe it's not too wet down there. Carl, what have you got for us?
Although it might well get there. I'll keep you posted. But again, it's really just a visualization of softs versus hards, really. We saw GB do this in Bahrain. Didn't end particularly well from him when he did hard tyres in the first stint there. Vegas, though, very different kettle of fish. Ben, though, gets just the most almighty launch imaginable. Doesn't really find it in the second phase, but with the superior grip of the softs, it was inevitable. Down the inside, GB wisely doesn't fight it. And at the moment, just enough of a gap for Ben, although those soft tyres are going to start hurting not before too long. One other driver, though, that did start on the softs was, of course, Formula Kai. Had made great progress into P10 from P13. However, that all quickly eroded as he heads into the end of the Las Vegas strip. Misses his braking point royally. He sort of brakes, goes back on the throttle. Not entirely sure why, just in case he thought he had a bit more braking potential within the Haas car. But I can tell you now, he did not. Full on the brakes all the way down, looks for the flick to try and regain composure and control. Didn't happen, whacks into the side pod of Gwatz, and that was how front wing damage happened, as Chappers swipes the nose clean off. Look at that, sound effects on tap. Who says we don't treat you, ladies and gentlemen? In other news, though, let's look away from the bogging down of, oh, I've got damage, because Kareem and Meraki had an excellent battle. We all saw it, half a lap pretty much. They were side by side. This is where it all happened. Kareem dropped back afterwards, uses cleverly the fact that Meraki is boxed in behind Alex Gillen to get the jump round the outside, therefore has the clean air over his car, able to brake slightly later as there's GB going off there in the foreground, but holds it round the outside, still side by side, plenty of racing room and respect. It's just beautiful to watch from both the Red Bull and the Prancing Horse. Many of that, plenty more battles to come, ladies and gentlemen. At the moment, though, all looking good for Alex Gillen.
Absolutely, we rejoin on lap 6, heading on towards lap 7. Team Mardic still has a 1.9, make that 2-second advantage over Lolly Nova. Crim 17 though has started to try and eke into that yellow flag at the bottom. I think Scotty Designs, by the way, has had issues down at 14, 15 and 16, gets the car pointing the right direction. No major damage for the young Scotsman, or maybe just a little bit of a run off in towards the escape road. But the front three now starting to battle it out slightly more. Karim 70 swoops into second place. GB's lost a place to Alex Gillen, who now stands in fourth as Razin Chai gets the better of Chappers F1 for 11th and 12th respectively. GB, though, has got his work cut out at the moment. I would say he's doing well on the hard set of tyres, but he has dropped behind two runners that are also on identical tyres.
And it's Kareem, really. We saw it in qualifying, even though he started from 6th. With that 5th-place penalty, absolutely rapid at this stage. I would not be surprised one bit if he closes that 2-second gap to Tim at Mardic very, very quickly indeed, as we still wait for the next indications of when that rain is going to start falling. Kareem's also just brought that group of Alex Gillen, GB, Meraki, Safso, Gwatz, Adam Sanderson with him. So Lolanova, who did have a couple of seconds in hand over that second chaser group, now very much back in the thick of it as Alex Gillen hovers on the edge of 1.1, 1.2 seconds off the back of the RB.
Yeah, being told there's a lot of fatigue in the cockpit of that Aston Martin as well. GB really feeling the effects of the lack of sleep, the coffee. Obviously, he's had an incredibly long flight back, and let alone having to deal with British Rail to get home just to race here this afternoon. And it's going to be an interesting one to see how he handles that. Obviously, 50 laps is a long time. He's not making it show, though, as he dives to the inside of Alex Gillen at the final corner, retakes 4th place, and maybe there's life in him yet.
Gillen missed DRS, so he's pushed even further away once again from Lolly and from Kareem in front, and GB maybe just sensing an opportunity, smelling a little bit of blood as Alex was slightly slow through the middle sector on that previous lap and taking 4th place back off the hands of the Papaya McLaren car. Meraki, a very willing spectator in this as well, got stuck in the opening lap with his battle with Gillen and with Kareem 17, who scampered off into the distance, but ever since then has retained that 6th position without any real trouble.
Will do. He's got to try and retake Lolly Nova if he wants to maybe put some more pressure. They are working together, though, crucially, to make inroads on Tim and Mardic. Those soft tyres, after doing 7 laps, are almost certainly going to be crying out for any relief that they can offer them. I wonder if Ben's going to try and go long. We are expecting rain roughly around lap 14, 15. And the question is, can he take a set of soft tyres that long? My immediate answer would surely be no here.
His pace, though, still is pretty strong. He's pretty competitive from Ben at this stage, considering those soft tyres are very much second-hand. Kareem 17 is going to take 2nd place off the hands of Lolanova for the first time. The pole sitter wasn't to be with that 5th-place grid penalty, but set the fastest time in qualifying, gets back up into the top 2 places on the road, and with the helping out of DRS is very close now to being within 1 second of Tim Mardic. And with the pace that that Red Bull car has got, I would not be surprised if Ben is going to have to be looking in his mirrors for the first time since the opening lap.
Yeah, I think he'll be a little bit nervous now. He knows the drivers behind him. Karim on hards, it's Lolly Nova on the mediums. They will be trying to make inroads as quick as possible. They'll know the tyre situation that stands at the front. It's going to be incredibly close between these drivers, and the question's going to be, how long is it going to be until Karim starts to make that all-important pass? And does that force Ben into the pits early, or will he really try and stick it out? Because rain is coming. It's a known fact at this point in the race. He says he started sliding. That normally means the tyres are well and truly in the mud.
100%. And the prerogative for Ben, you would imagine, would just be, yes, I'm going to lose track position, but if I can just stay in the ballpark, stay in either the leading DRS train or the group of GB, Alex, Meraki, Safso, Gwatz, Adam Sanderson might get screwed a little bit because the two Mercedes, if they do double stack in the pit, and that's going to hurt that second Silver Arrow car. But Ben, he's got to try and play this smart, keep himself in the ballpark, because he had a very good opening 9 laps.
Absolutely, trying to make their way through. And the question is, look further back, you can see how big this train has started to form, all the way down to Adam Sanderson. 9 cars all within DRS of one another. Crim 17 now goes to make that move as they head on towards the boulevard for the 9th time. Ben lets the move past easy. He knows he doesn't have the tyres to try and fight this. The question is going to be, can he use Karim to his advantage?
Ooh, just dangles the nose of that Mercedes up the inside into the braking zone of turn number 14. But this is the game now for Ben. Try and cling onto the coattails of Cream 17 in front of him and just keep that Red Bull in check and maybe stave off any attacks from Lolanoba as well. We'll wait and see how this develops. Rain still expected in less than 10 minutes, we're expecting, from the radars and from the reports that we're getting. And it's still very staccato in this lead DRS train as well, from third down to Adam Sanson in ninth. Raz has done a decent job as well to recover from a few trials and tribulations in the opening stages. Had got in front of his Frati, but the Ferrari getting back ahead of the Alpine as they work together to try and bring themselves into the fray as well.
Pretty close. And the question is, 7 minutes is what we're hearing, roughly 3 or 4 laps. Razin and Fabio having a good battle further back. They've been jumping up and down in amongst each other for a couple of laps now as they are starting to work together to try and pull themselves back in towards that train. As it stands, folks, 1/5 of the way through this Grand Prix, Alex Gillen will be taking home the championship. GB needs a race win. Nothing else will suffice for himself to try and have a hope at the championship. 25 points is the deficit. Any points that Alex Gillen gets here are beneficial.
100%. GB needs the win plus a bonus point as well, because Alex will take it on countback. So whether that's fastest lap or the cleanest driver award, he was going to have to pick one of them up, as well as that race victory. So things still looking very rosy for Alex Gillen, considering as well that he is sat very nicely in position number 5. Ben still within the DRS range of Karim as well, and that's going to give him a lovely slip through and a lovely run down into turn number 14. And he'll probably start getting picked off one by one by the group behind. Lloyd looking pretty menacingly behind. Ben won't really want to disrupt the DRS train too much, I would have thought, just because that's going to push him further and further away from Karim out in front.
They are starting to make inroads though, and then Razin Chai has actually lost time to Adam Santon, was 3.2 behind, now 3.7. I wonder if the games that he's playing with Fabio are not the one that he'd like to see pay dividends at the moment. They aren't making that inroads that he'd like to see at the moment. We're hearing Timo Marek is completely without battery, or at least considerably lower as they make their way through this Grand Prix. Ben has been doing everything in his power to try and hold on to the cars in front, but without any battery, he's really going to struggle to make his way through. He's going to be hoping, praying, begging that a safety car at the moment, he'll be hoping something goes his way to try and pull his race forwards.
Lost 4/10 in the first sector, leaking time as well in the middle sector, and this might be the time where he has to let Lolly fly by. 1.2 seconds now. The gap here is not going to pick up the DRS unless there's a really unfortunate error from Karim 17 through the flat-out turn number 11. And into turn 12, 1.3 seconds is the margin. I think this should be fairly stand for Lolinoba with the slipstream, the battery, and the DRS, of course, to blast past here at Marvin.
Watching a ball with Lolinoba. There we go. Moves to the right-hand side. Ben again does not fight it without the use of DRS. He's a bit of a sitting duck down this incredibly long Las Vegas Boulevard, the DRS straight as it comes. Ben a little bit later on the brakes in towards turn 14, 15, 16. They make their way down towards 17. Lolinoba's in the wall. Front wing missing. Yellow flags are flying as the Italian drops all the way down to P8. Required to come into the pits now. Will he take a gamble on a set of the intermediates, knowing that rain is coming here?
Surely not. Still about 5 minutes away, so that is not good news for Lolly and takes him realistically out of contention. Gives Karim 17, though, an absolutely free pass out in front. 2 seconds now, the gap between himself and Ben. GB next to arrive on the scene to try and push the former champion down a further spot. There, in fact, it is, right on the button. GB gets up into second place, and the drivers that started first and second on the grid now running second and third with Karim 17 a couple of seconds up the road. But that was unfortunate for Ben as well. No safety car. He would have been very, very alert when he saw Lolly bin it coming out of turn 16. He would have been shaping over to the left-hand side just in case the virtual or the full course caution was called.
I'm curious, has nobody told Lolinoba that rain is incoming? He's gone onto a set of hard tyres after that earlier pit stop. Maybe that was a bit of a mistake. Hadn't managed to scroll their way through to the intermediates, quite possibly. Lolinoba comes over the team radio. Italian despair being displayed. And I'm going to assume that's probably Carl can't translate for us in real time.
It's broken!
Well, something is certainly broken in the garage there of the Team V car. We're watching Alex Gillen, though, putting pressure on Tim and Mark, who does have DRS from GB68, switching to the inside as they head in towards 14, 15, 16. Gillen 3 wides. Later on the break, still 2 wide with GB68, the 2 championship contenders, still wheel to wheel. Ben's on the outside, though, still trying to make it work. Can he try and have any influence here as they head in towards turn 17? The final corner, still 3 abreast. Oh my goodness, fantastic racing we're seeing. And Gillen gets past both of them, or does he? As Jimmy's still trying to put up a fight in towards the first corner. They're still inseparable, but it's Jimmy that comes out on top.
Well. Gillen playing with Papaya 5. Big snap of oversteer for Ben, as I think I just saw the first drop of rainfall from the sky. He leaks a couple more spots to Mercedes, to Meraki and to Safso, down to P6 now for the Mercedes driver. It is definitely raining now, so I think that's coming the perfect time for Tiamat to keep himself in the same ballpark as this group that is chasing down Cream 17 without dropping too much time. Massive crash of thunder as well, as we're expecting the storm to be coming in very, very shortly. But like I said, Alex Gillen, that was dangerous business, wasn't it? Tim Mark and GB, 2 drivers that want GB to win the championship over Alex Gillen. Gillen sticking his nose up the inside into 14, could have ended in disaster in the end. He managed to dispose of his main sparring partner.
I must admit, that thunderclap made me jump there. I was not expecting that. Maybe a sign of things to come as the rain does fall here in the desert. The ground will swallow that up as quick as it possibly can, but it will cause some drivers to really doubt their tyre choices at the moment as we head to the end of lap 13. Lucky or unlucky 13 for some of our drivers. Alex Gillen gets the better of GB. Who's going to go for the undercut? Who's going to go for the overcut? Who is going to gamble on a set of the intermediates?
Definitely not ready yet, as going wide into turn 14 is Meraki. I think he may have been a little bit spooked by Safso behind, losing a hell of a lot of time coming out of the final braking zones. Gillen's shaping over to the left-hand side as he diving into the pits. I saw a little bit of spray coming up from the Red Bull of Cream 17. We have got split strategies. Gillen into the pits, Meraki into the pits as well. Tim Mollick surely going to be coming in also along with Safso, and this just makes things a little bit more interesting. Is this the right lap to come in? Adam Sanderson's been held out to dry courtesy of his teammate taking the pit box. Green striped intermediate tyres bolted on, and this is where the game changes.
It certainly does. The gamble, well, what an ideal place to take on here in Las Vegas, quite possibly the gambling capital of the world. The streets are lined with fluorescent lighting, and it's going to be incredible to see which driver has paid the best price here at the moment. 7 in front that stay out on a set of the dry tyres, hards and mediums across them, as we get another massive clap of thunder ricocheting across this circuit. Someone's made a mistake, though. Who's falling through the order? Is that Scott Taylor that's going slowly?
Yeah, I think he's plastered that Sauber down the barriers into the braking zone of turn number 5, trying to let the leaders on the intermediate tyres file past because they've got so much more grip and confidence. That was definitely the right lap to come into the pits. Alex Gillen taking chunks of time out of Hayden Gullis and Chappers in front. So this is going to be interesting to see where Cream 17, where GB, where Adam Sanderson file out. You can see both of them tiptoeing their way through turn number 12, avoiding that Mahusiv curb on the inside. DRS has been disabled. And this is going to make for very interesting viewing. Will Alex Gillen, out of all of this, take over the net race lead? I think the rain came just 1 lap too late for Tiamat Mollick, because he would have been right up there with his old sparring partner. As it turns out, he's now behind Meraki and Safso, though.
Yeah, 17, 16 seconds is the gap between GB and Alex Gillen at the moment. Of course, we have seen in races gone past, as Tiamat Mollick gets past Safso, the rain does cause carnage, especially here in Las Vegas. We saw a wet finish last time out, where Karim won the championship, and he now leads the drivers in towards the pit lane at the start of lap 15. GB's in, as is Sanderson. I'm sure Chai and Chappers will follow in suit, but Alex Gillen, who now will take effectively the race lead, I'm almost certain of it, will come round that final corner, peel past the pit lane. We watch there, Adam Sanderson just heading in towards his pit box. On the way out is GB, and you can see Karim maintaining the race lead. GB68 side by side with Meraki, but I think we'll lose out in the end. They're still side by side, but at least they were on pit exit. GB is stuck in 4th place at the moment.
Spat out of the pits directly into the path of the season 4 champion. Are we going to see him move down into turn number 5? Looks like Jake has got the Aston Martin covered. He's got to be careful of Ben sat in his slipstream as well in that Mercedes car. They're 3 seconds off the back of the leading duo, working out absolutely beautifully for Alex Gillen, who we know as well is historically one of the better drivers in these tricky wet weather conditions. So that is going to be perfect. He made the right call. He's going to be delighted about that one, because that will just ease the nerves. He's up there with Kareem, and he's got GB behind him.
Certainly does. The question is, which way is this weather going to shift over the course of this race? Are we going to finish it out on a set of the intermediates? We'll have to probably expect at least one more stop if that was to be the case. And I think a few drivers may be hoping that we do finish under wet conditions. It can cause a bit of an upset in amongst the fields, as we do see Karim gaining time on Alex Gillen, about 3/10 over the course of this lap so far, without the benefit of DRS or major slipstream. He has started to fall back somewhat. Watson and Safso swapping positions slightly earlier on, and Timo Mardik right on the back of GB, as I think we have some lap cars just up ahead. GB getting past Meraki though, and that is important if he wants to try and put a challenge to Mr. Gillen.
Right, chase after Gillen and Kareem in front. Remember the gap, 25 points. GB has to win the race and pick up a bonus point, and hope, of course, that Alex Gillen retires or doesn't finish inside the top 50. I think Ben's going to try and follow GB past Jake, who was a little bit slow coming out of turn number 16, compromised by the Aston Martin filing through. That's a couple of places lost in a couple of corners for the season 4 champ.
Absolutely. Can he try and regain 2.8 seconds to the front too? He's got to try and push everything that he's got at the moment, or is it a question of survival in terms of this wet weather period, which we have been confirmed we will, well, at least we won't have a mid-section of the race on wet conditions. We are expecting it to dry up again, and especially with how warm it can be in the desert, albeit in the night time. 12 degrees air temperature, still 15 degrees track temperature. We will expect it to probably dry up rather quickly here.
Razin coming on strongly as well. Fastest driver out there at the moment, up into P8, disposing of Adam Sanderson. He's left him Fratic in his wake by a couple of seconds, and Safso only a second and a half up the road. And from 19th on the grid, the Season 5 champion, doing a very, very strong job for Alpine in their ailing attempts of picking up the Constructors' crown. Matt 2 on 2 in P11 at the moment. They're going to need a little bit more with Alex Gillen in second, with the two Aston Martins inside the top 7.
Certainly will do. Safso will try and make inroads, but I don't think he's got the capacity to try and deal with it at the moment. And we have got the gap to the lead. You can see the entire field spread by about a minute there, down to Scotty Designs, by the way, just making his way down Koval Lane towards turn 5 and Caesars Forum. Not the race that you'd like to see from the Mean King, but he is starting to try and make his way back. Timo Mardik on the rear of GB68 in towards 14, 15 and 16 for the 16th time. And it is going to be Ben Daly that tries to hold the coattails of the Aston Martin in front.
Ben looks good here. GB was a little bit wobbly going through that complex, missed his braking point a little bit as well, and was slightly wide of the apex. No DRS to help the drivers in the wet weather conditions, but seems to be with a little bit of battery, maybe just enabling Ben to get as close as possible. Had to lift off the throttle going through the final corner, flat out in the dry, absolutely not flat out in these conditions, and he'll just hold station in P4 for the time being. Remember, Ben winning, or has won, in all 9 of the Creator Series campaigns that he's competed in. The only driver to do so, hasn't won so far in Season X, is desperate to keep that 100% win ratio up and running.
I'm really in two contentious minds here. I'm not sure who I want to win the race more. Do I want Ben to keep that almighty era that he's got going all the way from Season 1? Obviously getting a race win in every season is incredibly impressive. Do I want GB to win and potentially take Gillen the championship towards the final lap? Imagine lap 50 of 50, how close this could be. Or do I want someone completely different to try and get involved, get a race win? I mean, could we see maybe Mr. James Early come up from P17? Unlikely, but you never know.
Need to get quite the elevation, wouldn't he? GB's managed to stave off that first attack from Ben through the first set, to the gap opening up to 0.8 of a second. Gap and front stabilising a little bit as well. GB, Kareem 17 looks to just have a little bit of pace in hand over Alex Gillen. 1/10 of a second here, 1/10 of a second there. Gillen's able to just about cling onto the coattails of the reigning champion. This could be very symbolic. Kareem 17, winner of the Season 9 champion, handing his crown over to Alex Gillen in Season X, but doing so by winning the final race. So many storylines.
So many storylines. It's interesting though, if you look at the last lap runs that we've got available to us. Karim 17 was about 0.2 quicker than Gillen. Gillen was 0.2 quicker than GB. GB was about 0.06 of a second slower than Timo Mardik, who both in turn are about 4.5 quicker than Meraki. So you can really see that hierarchical order starting to make its way in towards that top 5.
100%. Big boys, all looking strong. 4 of them champions. GB could be champion today, but at the rate things are going, not quite to be, even though this has been his best Creator Series campaign. Second in the championship, almost confirmed for GB, but without any melodramas in the remaining 32 laps of this race. Battle going on here though, because Razin Chai is still in the groove in these conditions and all over the back of Safso.
As in Chice, that's 9 wins from 24 podiums from 101 race starts. 6 DNFs to his name as well. So about a 6% DNF rate over the course of his career in the Creator Series. We've had higher, we've had much lower as well. Of drivers past and present, no names, Mr. Dale. As we see Razin starting to try and put pressure on Safso. 7th place for the Aston Martin, trying to secure the constructors for themselves here this afternoon, and it could be going the way of the lean green racing machines if it stays like this.
100%. They're only 10 points off the back of McLaren going into this race, with GB in 3rd and Safso in 7th. I'm not 100% sure whether they would outscore McLaren by enough points, with Gillen 2nd and Chapper scoring a few points for P12, as I think Safso just tapped the wall there a little bit lazily going down the straight. This should give Raz and Chai a golden opportunity to pick up another place, move up into position number 7, tucked underneath the rear wing of the Aston Martin car. It's going to be a last of the late breakers contest, and the Season 5 champion, is he going to win out over the Season 1 champion? We know Safso beautifully hangs it around the outside, but doesn't have the grip coming through 15. Raz and Chai says thank you very much and picks up another position.
Beautiful stuff from themselves. Razin Chai gaining that extra position. Now finds himself in 7th. Gwat's 2.2 seconds up the road from the Alpine. We see Timo Muddy still on the coattails of GB. Is he happy just to sit in behind at the moment, just play chase as we go over lap after lap after lap, maybe waiting for the dry conditions really start to pull himself together? But of course, you haven't really seen GB make inroads on Alex Gillen, who's fallen off the back of Karim 17. There's a real difference in lap times at the moment. Interesting enough, GB was actually slightly quicker than Gillen last time around, but Gillen was nearly half a second slower than Karim 17. So I wonder if a few drivers are just having that issue with consistency over the course of these next few laps.
I actually think Ben probably has the pace of Kareem. We see it in spurts. He either matches Kareem or actually goes a little bit quicker than Kareem, and then he just catches up to the back of GB, backs off, recharges, goes again, tries to find an opportunity maybe to get past GB. Remember, Ben has absolutely nothing to lose here. He's going for one thing only, and that is the race victory. So I don't think he'll be too content being sat behind GB if that Aston Martin continues to just fall away from the lead in Giro. Kareem is looking very speedy. Alex Gillen just struggling ever so slightly, and I think we're about to see the crossover point where GB is closer to Alex than Alex is to Kareem.
Yeah, it's going to be close in amongst the drivers. The question is GB starting to find that pace? Is Gillen actually starting to lose that pace? I'm sure we'll be able to hear from Carl and Clip at Corner in the foreseeable future, just to get a little bit of clarification as to what's been going on in that top 3 battle. Maybe some information that we haven't quite seen from a broadcast angle. Maybe some issues and some chaos from around the grid order as well. We can have a look in amongst our fields. We get team radio from Alex Gillen. Longer this rain goes on, the better, says Alex Gillen, or should I say longer this rain goes on, the better. So Alex Gillen really enjoying the wet weather conditions. Karim 7T putting on a show for us as he drifts around the first couple of corners.
100%. Looking strong. Alex, I think he might be running slightly lower winds, because by the time we get to the main back straight, he takes 3 or 4 tenths per second out of Kareem 7T. So that might be explaining that slight pace differential between the Red Bull and the McLaren car. Ben, once again, cruising up to the back of GB, but as yet hasn't really found an opportunity to try and get past the Aston Martin that sits in front of him. They've dropped Jake as well, and Gwatz to some tune also. 2.2 seconds back to the Ferrari, further 3 seconds back to Gwatz, who's got Razin to deal with now as well.
So it does. It's an interesting debate that everything's going on at the moment. Everyone has their own little battle that's happening on the circuit. You can see Ben just sat behind GB, as you said. Happy just to sit there. He's catching up and not able to go for that overtake. I think he's waiting for the move to almost come to him. GB comes across the team radio. I'm so scared of the wheel flick in some corners. And that is understandable. It's a questionable technique, but also the tyres really not wanting to grip as much as he would have liked.
And it's a technique as well that Kareem 7T on F124 absolutely mastered. So maybe this is where we're seeing Kareem just coming into his own, being really aggressive on the front axle, trying to make the car sing as Razin disposes of the second Red Bull of Gwatz with helping hand of a little bit of battery. You would imagine from 19th, the Season 5 champ, up into P6. But yeah, Kareem, if there's anyone in the Craze Series that is the master of the wheel flicking and the real aggressive turning, it is him, and it probably propelled him to that championship in season number 9. Razin has disposed of Gwatz by the time they get to the braking zone of turn number 14. It is 6th place for him.
Absolutely is. I'm reading on the Twitch chat and of course the YouTube chat. We've got Parts in the Apex coming in saying James Early is really cooking. I have questions as to A, why he's cooking and not racing. B, is it anything involved with bacon? And C, can I have some? But for the time being, at least while the racing continues to be a little bit damp, a little bit moist, somewhere who's under a little bit more cover is Clipbook Carl over in Clipbook Corner. Carl, over to you.
A few things that we've missed. Hello everyone, it's been a bit of a stalemate in the intermediate conditions, so let me fill you in a little bit. First of all, Dirty Air in the dry was struggle enough. For the championship leader, of course, has made great headway since pitting onto the inters, getting that undercut. Lap number 11, though. Dirty Air's bad at the best of times, but this is diabolical. Just almost clatters into the barrier. Meraki has a whiff of an opportunity, smells blood in the water, but nothing the Prancing Horse can do. Alex defending that position. It's when we get into, well, first of all, I mean, we have to address this triple threat because this was just, again, rapturous racing. Fantastic from all three of them. Alex saying vehemently that he said he had to get a move on, he was gonna go for it, and so he did. Down the inside, 3 wide momentarily, Ben just hanging back for a little bit as the two championship protagonists going side by side. GB prevails with the tremendous traction, but here comes Ben with the optimistic outside line, just shuffles his way to the middle. Got to be careful with the contact model, but no harm done. The rain started to fall just as they made their way onto lap number 13. But Alex gets clear of Ben. Again, a bit of wheel banging between himself and GB. No harm done, no damage whatsoever. Both of them carrying on their merry way in a dynamic that's bringing them closer and closer together. Bit of a battery situation going on there, but what I'm more interested in is the driving styles. GB alluded to it, scared of that wheel flicking into some corners. There's no reason why you can't wheel flick, but why should you really? Because realistically, both styles can work. Alex, much smoother on the wheel, albeit using the brakes to rotate the car. A bit squirrely on the steering, but that's absolutely fine. As Mr. Tom Wilkinson alluded to, the Wilkinson sword, cutting through this particular wavelength in Clipbook Corner, Kareem is the master of the wheel flick, gets it stopped, gets it pointed into the apex, darts his way out of it, and he has escaped. He's made a run for it in the rainy conditions, but before too long, those will dissipate, and then we'll see who really has that strategic advantage.
Wow, the Rainbow Snake really paying dividends for Karim 70, as is that flick technique that he has got down to an absolute T. 70, if you will. We're on lap 22 with 50 approaching that halfway mark in the Grand Prix, and we are expecting the rain stop in the near future, within the next couple of minutes, if it hasn't stopped already. I say that as the track, or at least the sky, is looking rather dry. The track will stay damp for at least the next few moments until our drivers are able to kick up enough water to make it dry running conditions, because we are then going to go back to slick tyres here, Tom.
100%. I would say it has subsided just about now. And if we remember back to the finale on F1 24, it did take quite a while for the track to dry, courtesy, of course, with it being quite low track temperature. It's cold, it's a night race, of course, so that just means the water doesn't evaporate as quickly as it normally would. Nearly 4 seconds, though, the gap out in front of Kareem, making the most of that wheel flicking technique, getting the front end to bite as best as he can. GB getting out of the dirty air as well. And GB and Ben have actually caught Alex Gillen here, as that was a bit of a hairy moment for GB through the final corner. Don't want to chuck it into the wall, end up plastered down the barriers on the trail to turn number 1. Keeps it pointing on the straight and narrow just about and holds on to that third place.
I think he was getting a little bit overconfident there on a set of the intermediates, maybe hoping they were going to grip that much more than he would have hoped they would. Of course, they're not quite full slick tyres. They don't have the contact patch that we'd expect from the softs, the mediums, the hard. You cannot throw them into the corner and expect them to grip like we would do from those sets of tyres. The track is still damp and probably considerably more wet as GB goes very wide again. I think just testing the limits on that car, just making sure he knows where he stands. Timo Mardik just sat in reach, watching the front two start to battle it out, and he knows if there's any contact between the two of those, he could be in for a good payday in terms of a race win here in Vegas. Of course, Karim 70's flicking technique does really pay dividends in wet weather conditions, not so much in the dries, as GB with the rear end of that car looking all kinds of squirrely as they were heading through Sands Avenue down towards 11 and 12. He has not found comfort at the moment.
I think we could be seeing a change in hands here, because Alex Gillen really struggling, 0.4 of a second slower than Kareem in sector 1, a second slower in the middle sector. GB and Tim Marlik hot on his heels. No DRS just yet. Ben still tucked up underneath the rear wing of GB, shaping over to the inside. He does go for it, under braking, but thinks better of it once he gets to the apex of turn number 14. Just hovering there, dangling the nose of the Mercedes down the inside. I think saying to GB and Alex Gillen, come on, get a shift on, lads. Kareem's nearly 5 seconds up the road.
GB takes the punt, he's into the pits, he's going to go for the undercut here. It could be a gamble from the Aston Martin, gets the car slowed down, which is the all-important factor. Let's see what's the tyre of choice for Mr. GB68. Intermediates come off, hard tyres going on, which I'm sure will take them to the end of the race now. Is this the call that could win him the championship?
Well, into the pits comes Maraki, into the pits comes Safso as well. Box to hard, let's go. He thinks he can steal a march on Alex Gillen, try and get the trap position and maybe take a bit of a chunk out of Kareem 17's lead. The only problem is, with those being the hard compound tyres, that is going to be very sketchy and very skatey on this opening lap here. He's definitely going to have to work very, very hard to get some energy and some temperature into the front and the rear tyre. So expect this to be a slightly slow outlap for GB68, but once he gets the confidence and gets the grip, he should be absolutely flying if he has made the right decision.
You're saying that it could be a slow outlap. I'm not seeing those intermediates kicking up any water to the degree that we'd expect them to. There's certainly a dry line forming on this racetrack. So the question's going to be, how much can those intermediates maybe hold on? We've got GB coming across the team radio. Oh, they're sliding. Maybe I'm completely wrong in what I've just said here on a live broadcast. We will wait and see what is going on. See GB here being hounded by Chappers in towards what is turn 11 and 12. Chappers to the outside, now the inside of turn 12. And I think GB's just got to find some comfort in uncomfortability to make his way through this race.
Was a little bit of a nudge there, but that tells you that maybe he has gone a little bit early, struggling with the warm-up. Ben didn't cut past Alex Gillen, by the way. They were nose to tail through the middle sector, but one McLaren was moving, and he was moving on up as GB was pushed down a further spot, and this could be map 2 on 2, just adding a little bit more pain to GB's A-League Championship push. Is the Alpine going to think about the move? GB's gone a little bit covered, got it covered down to turn number 14 and won't leak any more places. But this is just going to cost him even more time because once those tyres do fire up, he's then got to dispose of Alex Gillen's teammate, of course.
Well, you say that, but they're more likely probably to peel in towards the pits. We're seeing Matt 2 on 2 in. Chappers is in as well. So the hound that was in front of him has been resumed. And it is Chappers and Matt 2 on 2 into the pit lane. We're being told as well, a couple of our drivers may be banking on that safety car just a little bit too much, running 2 laps under in fuel. DRS becomes enabled. Gillen's been caught short. He did not go in. And that signifies the track is normally ready for slick tyre running.
100%. The difference is, will they be able to get the temperature? GB has started setting some fairly competitive sector tyres. Ben's still looking very menacingly underneath the rear wing of Alex Gillen as well. Razzie not too far in the background of shot either. GB, watch the gap between himself and Infratic on this app. You would imagine the Ferrari is going to come into the pits. They matched each other in the first sector, 29.6, 29.6 apiece. That should be the indication that it is time to get shot of these tyres. Alex Gillen still really struggling, 30 flat though, half a second slower than Kareem and the runners on the dry tyres.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how the tyres are really starting to come alive, especially as the track gets ever drier. Tia McMurdoch with the slipstream and the DRS. Is he going to jump Alex Gillen in towards the pits? This could be an absolute bit of drama. Late on the brakes in towards turn 14. Tia McMurdoch goes deep, tries to get the car turned in, does so. Can Gillen go for the up and under? He doesn't quite have the grip of the straight line speed, but that's going to do anything but help him in his progression forwards.
But he can just play this smart here. Gillen doesn't need to fight that too hard, doesn't need to get embroiled in a slightly unnecessary battle between himself and Ben, because of course he only needs a couple of points to pick up this championship. Medium compound tyres bolted on to the McLaren car. Gwat's 10-second penalty, not good news for himself. Tia Marder, remember, he has mediums and hard tyres that he can use. I think himself and Kareem both electing for the white striped hard compound tyres. Got him, he says, as he goes into the braking zone. And I just saw there in the corner of my eye, there is GB. He went for the undercut, tried to strap on the dry tyres early, but it's lost him a couple of places.
It may have lost him a couple of places, but actually he's got the fresher, well, not the fresher tyres, but probably the warmer tyres now. He's had a couple laps to really get those hard tyres up to temperature, and especially with track conditions that are only 15 degrees, Gillen and Ben are going to be struggling to get any heat, any temperature into those tyres as they make their way through that first sector. This is make or break for GB's race.
100%, but Alex on the medium tyres, he's going to be enjoying life a little bit more than Ben, who struggles like GB did on that opening lap to get some energy into those hard compound tyres. Could be interesting to see what the strategies will be from here if there are no safety cars. Does Ben try and extend this to the end of the Grand Prix? Can the mediums go pretty much half race distance? That's going to be a fascinating little duel between Alex and Tia McMurdoch. With Alex and GB on different strategies as well, that just adds another little dynamic of spice to this game.
It absolutely does. It's a game of cat, mouse, and maybe treat being handed in there as well. GB's the cat, Gillen's the mouse, and I think Tiamat Mardik is in the mix just as a bit of a treat for everybody else on our screens. Gillen makes his way past in towards turn 14 and 15, and that promotes him up to P2. Karim 70 still up in the distance, clear on a brand new set of the hard tyres.
And I wonder if Razin could be joining them shortly as well. He's got every single strategy call absolutely spot on, and that's netted him a position inside the top 5 at half race distance after starting on the back row of the grid.
Exactly, he's really started to pull his way forwards. Razin has come out of absolutely nowhere to be maybe a contender within this race. We saw that in Saudi Arabia last week, where he managed to hold on, won the race on track, and obviously penalties started to drop him lower and lower in the order. But he has had a couple of really good races this season. Maybe consistency could be his best friend heading into the next season.
He's third in the championship, let's not forget as well. Yes, he's out of contention, but was in there, but for a few slightly dodgy rounds in recent weeks, and of course missing a race a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he's got to try and put his foot to the floor and maybe do some talking on the racetracks. We head into what will be the 11th season of the Create Series. We won't get too ahead of ourselves at the moment. We have got one season to finish off here at the moment. We are on lap 27 of 50 of the final race of Season X, a mystery Grand Prix that came our way over a load of grueling rounds for all the drivers involved. And let's not forget, Gillen and a few others did take a break week off to go get married.
They did, of course. And those drivers that aren't Alex Gillen's friend, that weren't invited to his wedding, you would have thought they would reap the rewards of that. But evidently not. And it was that golden run that Gillen had right at the start, winning round 1, winning round 2, and winning round 3 that put him in this position to be the favourite to pick up a second Creator Series crown. The second man to do so, the first, of course, is the driver that sits just behind him on the road.
Yeah, all roads lead to Rome, and at the moment, all results seem to lead to Las Vegas here in the Create Series. All the massive championship contenders over the past few seasons have come down to here in Las Vegas. Karim won his first at on the boulevard, and it looks like Alex Gillen could win his second, but GB is still in contention. Let's not forget that. He is certainly within touching distance at the moment. There is needing or requirement for a mistake. Ben's still low on fuel as well, we're being told. So they make their way down towards turn 5. Caesar's Forum on their left-hand side as they come through that tight right-hander. We're watching here with Chappers, who's on the rear of Matt 2-on-2, who's equally on the rear of Adam Sanderson in the midst of the point-paying positions, 10th through 11th and 12th.
And the fuel loads are really interesting. Alex Gillen not level, just a little bit down on fuel. He should be able to save that between now and the end of the race. But that doesn't surprise me at all that Ben, with the fuel situation he's in, he's just very happy to sit behind Alex Gillen at this stage. Alex, of course, on the faster medium compound tyre. So if Ben can just get dragged along, save as much fuel as he possibly can, get himself in a really strong position come the end of this race. Constructors' battle still very interesting though. Two teams that are still technically in the fray, Alpine and McLaren, about to do battle over 11th and 12th, with Adam Sanderson, whose pace not quite as good at this stage as it was in the opening salvos. He could get embroiled in this as well. Chapper's looking for any opportunity, any which way, to maybe dart around the outside of Matt 2-on-2, but going to have to hold his horses and wait for the DRS to be enabled.
Certainly is indeed. We're seeing with Chappers, the rear wing will fly open as they head down towards turns 14, 15 and 16. Chappers is chomping in the bit. Which way is he going to go? Left or right? Will he commit to the move slightly earlier on? We could see 3 wide here with Adam Sanderson being a bit of a sitting duck. Sanderson moves to the inside. Didn't quite see Chappers going through as well as he's 2 abreast as they head through turn 14. Sanderson slams the door and Gillen set the fastest lap of the race. That's where I got that name from.
He did, just potentially laying his cards on the table as he just tries to stretch his legs ahead of Tiamat Mardik and ahead of GB. And Razin's still really quick at this stage as well, couple of tenths quicker than the duo in front of him on the previous lap. Got that gap under 2 seconds for the first time. He's definitely going to be a contender for the podium in the latter stages of this race. Alex has taken a second out of Karim. Ben fastest in the first sector. They're just trying to pull themselves back to Karim 70. Well, he doesn't quite have the pace as he did in the intermediate conditions, but we know that Karim is still a very, very worthy adversary at the top of the order.
Absolutely, that he is. 5 seconds clear of Gillen and the rest of the drivers. And whilst we head on towards lap 30 of 50, we're going to throw it over to Mr. Dan Gilligan for a bit of a mid-race recap. Daniel, can you hear us?
I certainly can, yes. Thank you, TK, and thank you, T-Dub, as well. Well, let's just have a moment here. We've gotten a little notification from our producer that he's going to do something whilst we're doing this little recap here. I'm not going to exactly repeat what it is he said, but he's going to be indisposed for a little while. So yes, we've had ourselves a dry start to the race, that brief period of wet running as well for about 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, and now we're back to that dry weather running. Now, the big question now is whether or not the man with the papaya car you see on screen at the moment here is going to be able to make it all the way to the end on those medium tires. Those mediums could well end up dying off. We saw in the sprint, of course, earlier on, different lobby, different conditions, albeit a very, very different set of circumstances there that then did mean that drivers like Safso were able to then capitalize using those harder tires to then go chasing on after others. So you've got Ben, you've got GB in a position there where with those hards, they could potentially be going all the way to the end, whilst drivers like Alex may have to settle for another stop. But of course, the other thing that's playing into factor here would then be the issue when it comes to things like the fuel that we see around the circuit now. We know that Karim has got positive numbers as far as fuel is concerned, but then for a lot of the drivers behind him, Alex, Ben, GB, various others as well, they've all got the yellow lamp on their dashboard, which means they're all running some sort of deficit in fuel, which is not a good thing if they want to see the end of this race. A reminder as well, lap 35 is the end of the intentional safety car period. What does that mean? Well, in Creator Series, you can only retire from a race early by deliberately crashing into a barrier, and that is to try and encourage people to end up having themselves a moment out of the race, yes, but then of course it means that we get safety cars. It brings the field back together. We get a bit more intense racing again. Now, what ends up happening with all of that, of course, is that lap 35, that is the last opportunity for you to do so as a driver. So after that point, any other DNFs will be legitimate DNFs instead. So that is coming very, very soon, and we've got all of that still to come. Another person who's been watching along on this broadcast with me, of course, has been Carl. Carl, I'm going to bring you in at this point here. How have you been feeling throughout all of this? What's your overriding feelings we get into this sort of last third or so of the race that's coming in the next few laps?
I throw the phrase around a lot, truth be told, but I think it's no better time to use it, and that's the cream of the crop rises to the top, and he has. From P6, which was a silly, silly penalty, he has been head and shoulders clear of the rest this race, and I think everyone can concur with me when I say that. He has been imperious through the streets of Las Vegas. This three-way scrap, though, is very interesting. Of course, you've got the two championship protagonists. Alex doesn't really have to do much here. Using his mediums, he's just moseying up to the back of Karim. Rather interesting. It's been a bit of a game of strategy here. Alex, adamant that he was going to go on the mediums because the hards just struggled to get the temperature into them. He felt like he never got temperature in the front, or not enough at least, as we go to Matt 212, who is just breathing down the necks of Adam Sanderson and Chappers. That three-way fight is a tantalising one as well. Just a little bit of disparity between a lot of the groups, but you can, as TK said, during the rain period, you can see the hierarchy that's formed in terms of who has the confidence, who has the grit, who has the determination. Karim at the top of that list, 3 being Alex Gillen, Tiamat, Marnik and GB, not far behind though. Still a few laps for that intentional safety car, still a few laps for Chaos as we see a Mercedes go on through into P10. Plenty of racing room and respect up and down the field. Not nearly the level of chaos there was in the sprint race, but as we get closer and closer to the end, expect that psychological dynamic to change. There goes the Endstone outfit. Clean move from Matt 212. That's really all I have to say. It's been great racing up and down the field. Not much of the chaos, but I'm sure that flavour will be sumptuously filled as we carry on towards the final stanza of Season X.
Absolutely. Ooh, even with the dramatic delivery at the end there. Very nice indeed. Well, what we'll do then is we will throw back now to your commentary team. So to reintroduce them, it is of course TK and T-Dub who are now going to guide you through the final few laps. I say final few, final quite a lot of laps in this Las Vegas Grand Prix.
Apologies, you caught me looking down and trying to look at some notes to figure out whether Alex's tyres are going to last. Let's get some light on in here as well. There we go. And all properly lit up once again. But lap 32 of 50, we're approaching that all-important moment where it is going to be that end of the intentional safety car period. I've heard on the rumour on the street that we could have maybe some 2008 calling slightly later on.
No idea what you're talking about. Been no discussion of any, is that Glock moments going on? No idea, TK.
Not a clue at all. And as it stands, Karim is going to win this race. His hard tyres can last out. Alex Gillen is starting to make inroads, about half a second a lap, but Ben is even quicker than Gillen by about a tenth. GB's kind of sat there or thereabouts, also on hard tyres, and we'll see this race out. Gillen, though, I don't think is going to be able to make it to the end on 7-lap-old mediums, obviously with over 15 laps to go. He'd have to take those mediums 20 laps, which would be longer than anybody else has taken a set of mediums in this race.
Tall order. And Alex has just got to be careful. I'm surprised that... I'm surprised he took the risk. Obviously, we saw that he was really struggling to get temperature in the hard tyres in the early stages of this race, but it would have been a very easy to just bolt on the hard tyres, do the same as what GB did, and just effectively follow him home, really, and pick up that second Creator Series Championship. But he's decided that he will roll the dice. We're hearing that in regards to the Cleanest Driver Award, GB hasn't got any warnings yet, along with a plethora of other drivers, but that keeps GB in contention to pick up the Cleanest Driver point. Obviously, he needs to win the race, first of all, for that to mean anything at all to try and get him that championship.
Well, at the moment, Ben has the fastest lap. GB is only about 3/10 off that, so could potentially try and steal that race at the end. It's going to be an interesting scenario to try and figure out who's going to get that Cleanest Driver Award. Obviously, as a lot of drivers still don't have warnings to their names, I think GB will be hoping maybe to try and steal fastest lap and almost secure it as they make their way through. Is still a question that is well and truly up in the air, in the hands or the gods of the dice, you'll say, here in Las Vegas. Watching with Chappers as he's just fallen off the back of Adam Sanderson and Matt 212 to approach that infamous lap 35. It's going to be Ben, Karim, Alex Gillen, GB, Razin. They've all started that lap now as we make our way towards that 50. Yellow flag further back. Have we seen a car stop? Is that Hayden Gullis, who's found the wall at his final race? Has he called a safety car out? He's called a virtual, and that could be something, if not nothing, to help benefit our drivers. He's going still incredibly slowly. I can only imagine the G-forces after crashing into that barrier may have left him just a little bit stunned. But virtual safety car here in Las Vegas, and at least at the moment, we have got a couple of cars stopped. We've got Kick Sauber, I think, of Scott Taylor going slowly. And he does just on the exit of turn 12. Just finding a little bit of slowness. But yes, no full safety car here at the moment.
Not yet. Hasn't been upgraded as yet, but let's not count our chickens too early. Just interestingly, before we saw that with Hayden, Kareem 17, but 1.2 seconds on the head tops of the trio behind. He was losing time to Alex Gillen, Tim Mark and GB over the previous few tours as DRS is enabled once more. But then out of nowhere, personal best 33.2 to Alex Gillen's 34.4. I think that's a bit of a statement of intent. GB, though, could be putting some pressure on Ben here, both of them with DRS, and Ben a little bit sluggish on that restart, but GB not quite making the inroads down into 14, put any real pressure on the Mercedes.
Yeah, just got caught out probably more than he was expecting by that VSC ending rather prematurely at the exit of the corner, but alas did manage to hold it at the moment. Safso has benefited though from the DRS getting regained as he moves past the Red Bull racing car of Gortz up into 7th place. Fabio gets past Gortz as well. I think that Red Bull is continuing to fall down the order. They're side by side as they squeeze through turn 16 there. Gortz does hold it compared to the Scuderia behind him, but it could be a bit of a warning shot from Infratic, just reminding the Red Bull that he is in fact there.
100%. I think Gortz may have had a bit of an error on the restart because he was comfortably ahead, maybe even 4 seconds potentially ahead of Safso, and Infratic crashed once again. Car. Hayden Gullis is gone, and that is apparently the safety car. Yes, you could just see the yellow dot coming out of the pits. So Hollywood Hayden Gullis in Vegas, his final act as a full-time Creator Series driver is just to spice things up, as he always does, and bring the safety car out for the last 15 laps.
Well, here we go then, folks. Safety car making their way out. We haven't seen Burr Mylander in an incredibly long time here in the F1 Creator Series. 34 laps we have completed without seeing him here in Vegas. That was almost a miracle by itself, but alas, we have now seen that beautiful safety car make its way out of the pit lane. I'm sure there's a few drivers that will be giving him their thanks and prayers. Gillen will be saved on the set of their mediums, and it will be a full reset for everybody in terms of tyres as they can start to make their way onto a fresh set until the end. Karim will go onto the mediums probably, as will everybody else. The question will be, Ben has obviously not done a lap on the mediums, neither has Karim or GB, so they'll all have a fresh set of mediums to go on till this final stint. We are, of course, all going to miss Hayden, and what a way to bow out by maybe giving us the best race finish here in Las Vegas. Team rating comes across from Haydong himself. Oh no, I've locked up. And what a way to see out this race.
I feel like I've heard that quote before in years gone by on the F1 games in certain series. If you know that, then very, very well done. But yes, Hayden Gullis going out on his own terms. Alex Gillen has stayed out on 10-lap old medium tyres. Going to be touch and go whether he can get to the end. Team McMurdoch bolts on a brand new set of the hard compound tyres, so that's an interesting one as well, because of course he started on the soft, so had mediums and hards at his disposal, chose to go with that second set of the hard tyres. Maybe think there might be another safety car late on. Alex Gillen also overtaking the safety car there, but he's got to be careful he doesn't get disqualified now. I think the game has let him overtake the safety car, although he's slowing down quite a lot. Something peculiar is going on, everybody.
I'm not quite sure. He's not going too far away, but also he's not behind the safety car. So I'm waiting to see what in fact has happened here, because he's almost like he's waiting for the safety car to catch up with him.
Does the game think Kareem's still the race leader?
I'm really not sure. I wonder if there was some tricky or some carnage. It looks like Gillen has now been released, and Kareem could be being held behind the safety car. We have seen this a couple of times. I think the game will eventually release Kareem to then try and rejoin, but this could be a bit of benefit to the eyes of Mr. Alex Gillen. He'll have a bit of leeway to get into the bits should he so still wish to. And Hayden Gullis comes into
unless he gets a lap on everybody.
Well, that's the only other option that potentially could be an interesting one. Hayden Gullis comes in with a raid over on Twitch, though, saying it's not how he wanted it to go, but glad his last act was to make this race exciting for everybody. Hayden, we thank you for your service.
Going out on his own terms, and that is exactly how Hayden Gullis should go out. I think that is the best way.
See, now, in theory, Alex Gillen can pit if he wants to and stay out.
He's just going to pull a lap on everybody.
Well, I think he looks like he's going to. There's no way he's gone and cheesed this like that. I wonder if we are going to see maybe intervention from the higher powers that be, because at the moment, surely, we're not going to allow this to stand.
Higher power, paradise. I mean, it's like a throwback for a few weeks ago, isn't it? But he's now 15 seconds clear of Kareem 17. I'm interested to see if he does actually pull into the pits. He'll probably wait until he's got that 20-plus second gap over everybody in front. But this makes the championship just a little bit harder for GB68. He slowed down there, though, so maybe Alex has just been given a delta.
I assume that might be what he see. Either that or he's just got the don't pass the safety car warning. And I think you can see there Karim 17 still held behind the safety car as everything's going on. Gillen is slowing on purpose, according to Dan and Carl, that we've got in the back ends that are just feeding us information. So maybe it could be some gamemanship being showed from Alex Gillen as he does slow down to allow the whole grid to catch back up. And he's being told he doesn't want to gain a whole lap on the rest. Well, if he wants to win it, he's going to win it fair, at least in a way. But it could be a talking point of contention for the rest of this. We do see a Haas going rather slow. Is that Formula Kai, I believe, or Scottish Designs?
So some shenanigans going on. Alex, I think he's going to try his best probably to let the safety car back through. This is going to shorten the race, of course, as well. That 37 safety car's been out for, 3 laps now, and probably might stay out for that little bit longer. So we just need to keep our eyes and ears peeled. He has dropped behind the safety car now, so I'm interested to see if he gets told to overtake it. But things look like they've sorted themselves out.
Fingers crossed. It does say, well, looking on the back of the safety car, the green light is on, being told and got confirmation that he has indeed done it. He's allowed himself back behind the safety car, but of course he is now on dying tyres. Ben goes on to hards, which is an interesting call to see this race out with 15 laps to go. He hasn't used a set of the medium, so he would have had a fresh set to make his way through in towards the end of this race. Maybe he feels the mediums aren't going to last that length of time. Carl, I wonder if we're able to get some clips from you in the background whilst we wait for this safety car period to hear. Oh, we have got Mr. Hayden Gullis in for an interview, so we'll hand it over to Dan.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Let's get an opportunity now to speak to Mr. Gullis, if he's here. He's been dragged in. He's here. He's with us now. Hayden Gullis, you are no longer a Creator Series driver. How was... from what I gathered looking at the clip, you didn't necessarily intend to DNF there.
No. It was... Well, I don't know what it was like at the front, but for us, everywhere from 10th down, I feel like it was very, very boring and dull. I wasn't going to make it on fuel because I needed a safety car. I was like 2 laps down of fuel, so yeah, okay. I was intentionally causing a safety car against the rules, but hey, I'm leaving. What are you going to do? Sue me. I just decided to wait. First one didn't work, caused the virtual, and I think I went in with about the same amount of speed. And for some reason, even though I didn't hit the wall with my front right, it just fell off. But as I said in the chat, hey, look, if my last act in Creator Series is to make this race actually exciting, then I will bow to all of you, and you are very welcome.
I think it was one of those things where, looking at how the race was unfolding, maybe we would have gotten something interesting at the end, but it certainly wasn't guaranteed. So I think the safety car is no bad thing in this particular instance. So we salute you, sir, and we thank you for your service. Generally speaking, look at the season as a whole. How do you feel as though it's been for you?
Do you want the honest truth?
I want the honest truth, as long as you don't include any use of my bleep machine. So no using that word that you like. That.
Yeah, it's not been great. I think that hence why the reason of leaving and not enjoying it as much. Hey, look, I've been here since the start, 22, and then with what Dirk set up from the beginning, and it was all very enjoyable there. I think the caliber of drivers here is incredible, and that's got to be respected. They're all great, and they're all brilliant drivers in their own right. But for me, I love the chaos, and that's what I enjoyed from it, and the fun nature of the creators. And sadly, it's not here anymore. So instead, we're going to enjoy these final few laps, as you see the safety cars coming in.
Absolutely, you read my mind. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you. Of course, you're going to still be around in the community and everything else. We might see you for a reserve race in future. We'll wait and see. Let's now throw over to our beautiful lads over in commentary to get us restarted on this one.
Well, thank you very much, Hayden, and thank you, Dan, for having a chat in amongst whilst we waited for the safety car to peel off, and almost like magic, Alex Gillen does wait for our interview to conclude before he does launch. He's crawling at an absolute snail's pace down towards turn 17 here, probably the slowest you'll ever see a Formula 1 car take this turn. He knows he's under pressure. 12-lap-old tyres versus 2-lap-old tyres. The lights go green, and we are underway once again. GB looks to the inside of Timo Marnik on the hard tyres in towards the first corner, does not go for it. Going to play the patient game as Meraki and Razin Chai switch positions left, right and centre. Matt 212 gets a 3-second penalty up in P10 as Lonnie Noba dispatches Guats further back as well. And it's still Gillen that leads from Karim from Ben. GB sat quite happily in fourth at the moment.
It's going to be interesting to see how Gillen plays this. How will the tyres hold on? There's his teammate deep into turn 5, and the Constructors' Championship hopes might be going down the pan for McLaren as Chappers falls outside of the points-paying position, and all the heavy lifting is going to have to be done by the Championship leader and champion-elect at this stage. Brings Tim McMahon back into the fray as well. Hard tyres, he'll be strong come the end of this race, but got to make sure he doesn't leak too many places. The first of all being GB. He's right underneath the rear wing of that Mercedes.
Being told Gillen's on 21% old tyres, or at least tyre wear on his 12-lap-old, now 13-lap-old tyres. He may have made it under those safety car conditions, but of course under 11 or 12 laps, being put under pressure by new mediums, new hards, that tyre wear is going to go catastrophically through the roof as we see Razin Chai here on the back of Meraki. We run down the boulevard. No DRS enabled this lap, of course, after the safety car period, and Karim 17 wasting no time as he tries to swoop around the outside of 14, does get the move done, and Alex Gillen already one position down. He finds himself second with Timo Marnik chomping at the bit to try and get the move done. Is he going to go in towards the first corner? No, he plays the patient game. DRS becomes enabled as we head on to lap 40.
Four cars very closely contested. Ben slightly deep into turn 1, trying to hang it around the outside of Alex Gillen. Might be vulnerable to G, but he sends it up the inside of 3. Gillen's going to run all the way off the road, gets a bit wobbly, keeps it just about out of the walls. GB files on through. Gillen loses 1, 2, 3, 4 places down to P7.
Wow, this is certainly a challenge that Gillen can only afford to lose 8 more positions now as he drops down the order. GB within touching distance of the race win. The grid has been divided after that safety car. Gillen stayed out, was one of the only drivers that decided to stay out under the safety car period. It was a little bit loosey-goosey as Team Robotic could not get those hard tyres fired up to the temperature that he would have liked, sent Alex Gillen wide, and so far dropping down the order. He finds himself behind Safso, who has been known to defend rather hard when his teammate is sat in P2 with a championship on his hands.
100%, and just makes things a little bit squeaky bum time for Alex Gillen, because now he's in the pack and he's on those worst tyres, of course, and it's going to be a little bit dangerous for him in this position. Obviously gives GB a free run to try and take the lead away from Kareem 70. The other Red Bull battling away with the other Mercedes of Adam Sanson just outside the points paying positions, almost squeezed into the wall. Formula Kai brushing up against the barriers in his attempts to get past Gwatz down into turn number 14. Kai disposing of Adam Sanson as well. Sanson and Gwatz renewing their spoils as well. I think the Mercedes comes up trumps on that occasion. Matt 2-on-2 picked up a 3-second penalty on the safety car restart. He disposes of the Red Bull as well.
Don't forget, if GB wins without either of the bonus points, it would only need a points finish for Alex Gillen here this afternoon. The fastest lap goes the way of GB68. That would mean Gillen needs at least P14 at the end of this Grand Prix. He's got one of the bonus points. This is going to be a photo finish.
And he needs to try and cling onto the coattails. 0.8 per second off the back of Saf, so going to be very difficult for him to try and pick up the fastest lap, considering he's on 10 lap older medium compact tyres compared to everybody else in Fratica. We're chomping at the bit to try and relegate Alex Gillen further down the order. At the moment, just got to keep a cool head, which Alex Gillen most often does in his racing scenarios, because he is in a sticky situation, but he knows the championship is still very much in the palm of his hand. P7 is more than enough. Would have to drop down another 7 places for this to be a real scratchy end to this Grand Prix.
Yeah, of course, we have got the option as well that Alex Gillen could go for fastest lap here this afternoon. He could drop right out the order if he feels that he's not going to secure the points that he requires. Go in for a set of softs, get the fastest lap at the final time of asking. I believe that one bonus point, should GB only pick up the other bonus point for cleanest driver and the race win, Gillen would still win on countback. So it's going to be an interesting strategy call if we see Gillen to continue to fall down the order. You can see the difference in tyres really paying dividends for all of our other drivers. It is so up in the air as we head through lap 41 of 50. It is no one's guess as to which way this is going.
It's 8th now for Alex Gillen. Infratic through and Lolanoba sniffing an opportunity on the red striped soft compound tyres. They're only going to be good for another few laps, you would imagine, but this is just, again, squeaky bum time for Alex Gillen, because he is really grappling for grip. A second now off the back of Infratic. He is leaking time, he is leaking places.
Certainly is. Meraki takes the fastest lap away from GB as well. Lolanoba goes through on Alex Gillen. The soft tyres really paying dividends for that V-Cub, the only one left in this race as it stands. Gillen's only got 6 positions left of points-paying positions, and they're all relatively all within close comfort. You see Gwatz about 2 seconds off the back. But if anything's go by, we've got 8 laps still to go in this Grand Prix, 8.5 if you're being pedantic. It is still anybody's game. GB 2.5 tenths off the back of Karim 17. Could use the DRS run here towards turn number 12. Maybe it's try and get a jump. I think he's going to use it just to try and get close to the Red Bull racing car that stands in first place. And now we'll take a trip on towards the Las Vegas Boulevard for the 42nd time. GB will have the DRS. Is he going to try and take the race lead here, or will he try and stick in behind until that final lap? It looks like he's going for it. Pulls to the outside. A Karim lets him through. And are they going to start to work together?
Going to be very interesting. The move from Ben a few laps ago probably tells you who he wants to win this championship. It'll be interesting to see if Ben does actually go for the race victory, the same with the likes of Kareem and Meraki, or whether they let GB just lead it out in front.
Certainly will do indeed. I think we got a few drivers maybe hoping that GB can win his first. If you can think back your mind a few seasons ago, GB had yet to get his first race win after 63 appearances in the Create Series. It took until appearance 64 for him to get his first race win back in Baku, and from then he just could not stop winning. A second, a third, and I believe a fourth came his way over the course of a couple of seasons. And now he could be on track for his first ever championship if things go his way. But let's not forget, Gillen still in P9 is going to win this championship.
Just got to stem the flow, and that's what Gillen's doing at the moment. Managed to stop leaking those places as Lolly was the last one to get through. Formula Kai on 8-lap-old medium tyres. He's had them 1 lap longer than the majority of the field that pitted under the safety car. But Gillen, a second now off the back of Lolanoba. He's really got to be careful now. There's a 2-second gap back to Gwatz that he'll hopefully try and filter into, but like we said, just getting that little bit hairier lap by lap. 7 points is the difference as we look at the live standings. Still a battle going on for third place in the championship as well. Best of the rest. 3 points separating Raz and Chai, who's fifth on the road, and Cream 17 second.
It is going to be incredibly close. The question will they be helpers or hindrance as they make their way through down the boulevard once again? GB, of course, could be. The sitting duck, Karim, goes through and GB lets him. They are working together. This is good teamwork up at the front to try and pull their way forward. Razin Chai moving just to the outside to maybe try and cool that engine as they head in towards 14, 15 and 16. Gillen now drops another position into 10th place, but Adam Sanderson, 2 seconds to the deficit, could have to try and close that gap if Gillen is going to lose this championship here this afternoon. 7 laps to go.
100%. It probably ends McLaren's Constructors' Championship hopes as well as Tim and Monica. A little bit wide through turns 1 and 2. The door was slightly ajar for Meraki to try and force that Ferrari into, but couldn't quite make it stick. Still got to be careful of Raz and Chai behind. Those two have traded places since the safety car came in. Safso doing a good job for Aston Martin at this stage. Aston would pick up the Constructors' Championship with GB in second and Safso in sixth. Formula Kai is lighting up the timing charts, by the way. He's now moved into 8th place ahead of Lolanobo. I think he is going to start struggling on those soft tyres. Alex Gillen in P10 there, 2 seconds clear of Adam Sands, and he'll be helped by the fact that A, Lolly's going to struggle on his tyres, B, Ricky's really going to struggle on his soft tyres that are even older. Matt 2 on 2 and Chappers also both have 3-second penalties.
The only hope, I think, here for GB is that Gillen falls out of DRS range of Lolly Nova, but at the moment he's holding on to it by the barest of margins. He was about 9/10 of a second back as they headed through the first and in towards that second section, but then they get that dose of DRS towards turn 12, towards turn 14, and that is what's dragging him back, kicking and screaming. Tukey's into the wall, turn 12, safety car again!
Late race caution, and that gives Alex Gillen the opportunity to dive into the pits. But will he take this free shot? Will he want to give up the track position to drop him probably outside of the top 15, dependent on what the drivers behind him do, and then have to work his way back through?
That's the question. Does he go for the fresh tyres? Does he go for something almost guaranteed to give him pace? But obviously there'll only be about a 3-lap sprint. Right at the end, he could go for fastest lap, but again, not a guarantee. Celebrations from Alex Gillen. He's into the pits, but he will drop pretty much through the order. Who follows him in? It's Safso and P9, the other Aston Martin that could play blocker, that could stand in front of the McLaren. I wonder if this is a very selfless act by the Safso driver.
We say Alex Gillen and people behind him coming in as well, so that saves his bacon ever so slightly. But I think that was a slam dunk for Gillen, realistically. Everybody behind on the fresher tyres would have closed up to the back of him, especially now that the drivers at the back came into the pits for the soft tyres. So if you're in Alex Gillen's position, he absolutely had to go for that stop.
I think you're absolutely right. Had to go for it. Safso could have gone for the most selfless act here and could try and hold off Gillen for as long as he possibly could. We could also see Safso trying to go for his own championship fight, but of course I don't think we're going to see GB go into the box. It wouldn't make sense. He dropped through the order, and realistically he needs that race win here this afternoon more than he needs the bonus point or the fastest tyres. He would drop too far through the order in terms of actually trying to hold on there.
Yeah, has to win the race, and he'd leave himself way too much to do in the final 4 or 5 laps that we'll get once the safety car peels off into the pits. And obviously the trade-off for Alex Gillen with making that stop is it does leave him in the pack. It does leave him vulnerable down in P13. He doesn't have a lot of room for error, especially if he picks up damage. The trade-off is GB isn't leading the race at the moment, so we'll have to wait and see how that one develops. Ben, this will also help him with his fuel concerns. I think he was just about getting back to level, but this will guarantee him that he will get to the end of the race with no dramas.
Certainly will. How long will the mediums last? They've been given a lifeline by the 2 safety cars, and they are going to be expected now probably to almost certainly make it till the end. Tim and Marek maybe could have gambled on the hard tyres with no safety car. He would have been hoping that there were no second safety car to maybe really pull those hard tyres into contention. As it stands, Grim 17 leads from GB in second. The other championship contender down in 13th place. And if GB is able to try and get 2 bonus points, I believe that would still mean that Gillen wins the championship at the current moment of asking. P13 is what Gillen needs to try and hold on at the moment.
GB's got a warning as well, looking at the telemetry. Tim McMahon doesn't, Razin Chai doesn't, so I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for GB to pick up that cleanest drive reward, and that will all but seal the championship for Alex Gillen, even if he doesn't finish inside the top 15. Matt 2 on 2 making his way down pit road gives Gillen an extra position up into P12, an extra point as well. He'll now pick up 4 points for that finishing position.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's going to be a tough one for the drivers to try and overcome it. GB almost certainly needs the fastest lap now. The 25 points that he'd get for the race win, he'd still lose on countback. Maybe by some miracle that they are able to try and get the cleanest driver award, but with that warning to his name and a couple of drivers still remaining warning free. Sanderson, Early, and of course Razin Chai, 3 drivers that have no warnings to their name at the moment, so it will be very unlikely that the cleanest driver award will go to GB. Not impossible, but very unlikely at the moment. Constructors still looking like it could go the way of Aston Martin. We'll try and get confirmation as quick as we possibly can for you, especially towards the end of this race. We are going to restart with probably 4 laps to go here if the safety car is in this lap. GB starts from second. Karim 70, who has been shown to help GB over the last few laps, could try and work together alongside Timo Mardik. But of course, Timo Mardik still looking for his first race win this season, to making a race win in every single season that he's participated in so far. It's going to be a late call from the safety car here if it is going to come in this lap.
That 2-on-2 hasn't caught the back of the pack. I think he may have backed off potentially, so going to wait and see what happens here. Surely the safety car's in here, though.
It's going to be a very, very late call if it is. I think Karim 70 actually has backed off the back of the safety car. Oh, goes very wide into turn 14 there. Not quite sure what was going on with Karim there. No damage. I'm hoping no front wing looks intact. Safety car's in this lap. A very late call indeed. And we're going to get restarted on lap 47. The pack crawls to a halt. And we will go incredibly slowly through turn 17 once again. When is Karim 70 going to go? He'll wait till the line puts his foot to the floor. We go green flag racing once again. 3 wide in the background as both Ferraris swallow up the Alpine of Razin Chai.
Safety car's still out.
Safety car is still out. What the?
Safety car's still on track. Yeah, the safety car, I think the game was... It came in way too late that the safety car stayed on the circuit. You can see it there. Everybody having to back off. I think they're just getting illegal overtakes because the safety car's still out there. Infratic with one, Kai with one, Lolly with one. Going to help Alex Gillen. Safety car there again. And I think the game's had a bit of a funny moment. It was called in very late, quite clearly too late, because the safety car did stay out around the final corner.
That really caught me out. I wasn't expecting that. 10-second penalties across the board. Fabio, Kai and Lolly Noba all pick up those 10-second penalties. And Race Control decided it needed at least one more lap as Riccio 3 falls through the order. Not quite sure what has happened to him there. Meraki and Razin Chai just handing positions back to one another. But Mylander just fancied a gander around Las Vegas once again, just looking at all the lights. Got a little bit distracted with everything that is going on, and that almost certainly hands Alex Gillen the championship. Of course, as Fabio, Kai and Lolly Nova will fall so far through the order, unless something miraculous happens for a second time. Do we? There is rumour being thrown around in the background of a 3-lap race to decide the championship.
Well, the safety car has to come in this lap, doesn't it? I think is it a minimum of, it might be 2 laps that the safety car can be out for, or come in with 2 laps to go. So this might not be the final lap of safety car running. We're at absolute head loss for everybody in the comms box in the producers area, because we have absolute no idea what's going on. Kareem 70 is about half the lap. Well, maybe not half the lap. That is a wild... I'll shut up there, because that's a wild overestimation. We can hear GB's thoughts of that on the radio. Absolutely disgusted by Michael Massey's actions. The safety car, if the safety car comes into the pits now, that would be quite entertaining. I think it has just come into the pit lane.
Yeah, the safety car peels in. So by the look of it, we will be going green flag racing with 3 laps to go this time around. And we wait for any confirmation from any form of FIA as to what's going to happen. Karim, though, this time puts his foot to the floor early. And safety car looks like it... I thought it was going to come out the pits there for a second, looking at the track map. But fortunately not. We do go racing with 3 to go. GB on hot pursuit, but he may have felt that his championship has been dragged kicking and screaming from his hands.
And Alex Gillen on the move and in the groove. Champion-elect becoming the second to pick up multiple Creator Series crowns. Disposes of Scotty Designs, by the way, up into position number 11. It's a net 8 for Alex Gillen with the 3 10-second penalties for the drives in front of him. Adam Sanson trying to duck and weave underneath the rear wing of Scotty Designs as well, who stayed out on 13-lap hold medium compound tyres. What's Ben going to do as well? With GB definitely not winning the championship, this is all up for the grabs for Ben to try and pick up that Creator Series victory and keep the streak going as battles between Gwatz and Safso. Safso on the far better, the far faster, the far newer rubber. I think Alex Gillen going to follow in the footsteps of the Season 1 champion. Season 2 champ, follow Season 1 champ, and Gwatz is going to lose a couple of spots there.
Team Martin coming across the team radio saying that win is getting away from us, and you can see that on the screen as Karim70 already out of DRS range of GB68. Team Martin, of course, following in the footsteps of that Aston Martin. I think Team Martin has well and truly accepted that he can't help his friend anymore. He's out there for his own personal glory now as they run down towards turn 14, 15 and 16. No DRS after the safety car restarts, so we only get it for the final 2 laps of this Grand Prix. We head on towards lap 49 of 50. Karim looks to be winning it at the moment. The championship is going the way of Alex Gillen unless we see some absolute carnage in the final 2 laps.
And now the storyline turns to Team McMahon. Can he pick up a 10th Creator Series season with a victory? Yet to do so. So far, got 3 podium finishes. This is almost guaranteed to be a 4th as the DRS is enabled. You feel he's got to get his skates on here. Got to get past GB ASAP. Probably not close enough to make the move into turn number 5 as Kareem moving over, trying to break the slipstream to the cars behind. GB can still win this race as well. He'll want to go out on a high.
He certainly will do. He'll want to try and get a win to finish off the season. Maybe bittersweet, though, as we see Safso putting pressure on Lolly Nova in towards the right-hander of turn number 5, where he got stuck at the season finale in 2024. He now makes the move past, and so does Gillen as he follows around the outside in towards the Mickey Mouse section. McLaren and V-Cub still too wide, and Gillen gets the move done, dispatches the Italian as they head down the Sands Avenue Road once again, past the Venetian, which is an absolutely stunning environment to watch as they go flying past on towards the Las Vegas Boulevard.
Look at everyone recharging here. Ben right underneath the rear wing of GB, examining the diffuser geometry of that Aston Martin car. This is very much not over. Don't discount Meraki. Don't discount Razin Chai as well if something happens on the final lap of this race. GB's going to get the DRS. He's going to absolutely blast past Kareem 17. You would imagine 4/10 per second as the DRS flaps are open. Ben closing as well. The closing speed for the Aston Martin. Does he think about the move? He's got to be careful. Is it attack or defense? Because Ben's sniffing an opportunity. They retain the status quo coming through 14, 15 and 16 for the penultimate time.
Here we go then. Final lap approaches a 50 of 50. Team Emonic in the groove to the outside of the final corner. Karim seems to be slowing down somewhat. Maybe to try and make this final lap interesting. 2 and 3. Sorry, 1, 2, 3 and 4 begging for our drivers to come through as Alex Gillen sets the fastest lap of the race. This almost certainly seals away any championship hope that GB68 has from him. And we now head down the Koval Lane towards turn number 5 at Caesars Forum. It's still GB in second. Team Emonic has to put the pressure on now if he wants to try and get win number 10 in season number 10.
And GB just had to have his wits about him there. Meraki into the wall, tried it around the outside of Team Emonic, clouted the barrier, allows Razin Chai, allows Formula Kai potentially as well to file on through. Kai with a penalty and Fratic with a penalty as well, still having it out. Razin missing his braking zone into the Mickey Mouse section, so still this battle going on for 5th and 6th. Alex Gillen's involved as well. He's picking up the pieces, and the champion elect could still finish in the top 5 as he disposes of Kai.
No penalties needed for Gillen to make his way through this pack. He would have been hoping to do it on track anyway, but the raw pace that he's been showing here this afternoon has been nothing short of that of a world champion. We see now as we head on towards the Las Vegas Boulevard for the final time. Formula Kai retires as they head through turn number 12. I don't think anybody got caught up in that carnage. Maybe James Early as he's slightly slow off the line, and we see a whole car park right to the back. Alex Gillen got through though, and can Team Emonic try and put pressure on at the final time of asking? He's not going to be quick enough. Through 14, 15 and 16 we go. One final corner beckons where Karim won it all last time out. He'll win it all here again. It's Karim 70 who runs up towards the line, comes across and wins the Las Vegas Grand Prix. But Alex Gillen, who finishes in 6th place, is champion of the world.
Well done, Gillen. Well done, Kareem, as well. It was a little bit close, wasn't it? Half a tenth between Kareem and GB. Team McMahon a further 10th and a half back. Misses out on picking up a win in Creator Series Season X by just 0.2 of a second. But Alex Gillen, he won it in Season 2. He wins it in Season X and becomes the 2nd driver in the Creator Series to be a multiple world champion.
What a way to do it. What a race to do it as well. He almost had to fight tooth and nail to secure it right at the end. Karim took victory. GB finishes in 2nd, only 51 thousandths of a second behind his counterpart. He was so close to winning this race and couldn't quite get it. Tim Mardick, the streak is over as he only completes a race win in 9 out of 10 seasons. I'm sure the Australian will be absolutely heartbroken as that amazing statistic comes to an end. And of course, Alex Gillen not only finishing in 6th place to secure the championship, but gets the fastest lap to boot as well. Vegas is my track, says Karim. Cleanest driver goes to Razin Chai. Fastest lap, Alex Gillen, and the most overtakes as well. And we'll run through your complete order before handing back to our presenter and clip book duo. It's Karim that leads from GB from Ben. Razin Chai in 4th with Meraki Gillen, Safso Sanderson, Gwatz and Ricky 03 as your top 10. Matt 212 finishes in 11th with James Early in 12th, Lolly Nober in 13th. Scotty Designs, by the way, finishes in 14th with Infratic in 15th. The McLaren of someone else I can't remember finishes in 15th. Chappers finishes in 15th with Scott Taylor, 16th. Chappers 17th is Scott Taylor, 18th Formula Kai, who does finish qualified, and then Tukey and Hayden Gullis, your DNFs for today. Back to you in the studio.
There we are then. That is Creator Series Season X. All wrapped up. It's been an interesting race there. A couple of safety cars at the end, and maybe you would have said that it could have been a bit more interesting at the end there if we'd not had the second safety car, but ultimately, that has been how the season has ended. Alex Gillen is champion once again. And we've got two-time champions in Creator Series now. He joins Benjamin Daly as being the only 2 drivers to have that particular honor. And, of course, the largest gap between championships as well. As was mentioned in commentary, he was only the 2nd ever champion in Creator Series back in Season 2. And he's just been able to get the title again in Season X. What a good result. What a good race in the end there, Carl.
Yeah, absolutely. Great race in the end. It all seemed a bit stabilised, but then Hayden, I mean, commiserations. Brake failure's the worst, honestly. But he did well. You know, everyone did well. Did everything they needed to do. Did cause a little bit of spice. Tukey then causing that second one. Interesting to see both Saf and Alex just carve their way through the field. It just showed the strength of the newer tyres. Both with the pendulum swinging against Alex Gillen, being on the correct end of it as well. It's a very interesting set of dynamics. But there you go. 2 multiple-time champions now. The sparring partners. Can't get them gorilla glued off each other. But both Ben and Alex, 2-time champions.
Very, very fun. Very fun indeed. Let's go through some clips with you, Carl. First of all, I know that we've got some interviews to do, and we will get to those. But we've got some drivers who we're just waiting on before we get those started. So, what can you tell us in terms of that last part of the race?
Oh, I think first of all, big respect to the championship winner, because he fixed the safety car problem. We all saw it happen at the Las Vegas Strip. All was well. Did a massive turning circle job. Slots in ahead of Karim under the safety car. No harm done. Everything fixed. And that's how we got back racing again when it all came down to it. But it was firstly Lolly's restart that was unbelievable. And we would see this with Saf and Alex, of course, when the soft tyres were bolted onto both their cars as well. So, Lolly, in P14, in a sequence of corners that is quite simply superb. First of all, Formula Kai goes aggressive to the inside, slightly gets it wrong, and Lolly says thank you kindly. That's one. Gwatz and Chappers then going at it through the right-hander. Then it's a case of through goes Lolin over on number 1. Then next up is the McLaren of Chappers. 2 cars. Now he's going for the next set. Gets alongside Chappers, boxes in Gwatz. Gwatz tries to headbutt his way out of it. Chappers then gives a cheeky headbutt to Matt 2-on-2. And then it's thank you very much. 4 cars in the space of a few corners. An almighty restart. We all saw what happened to those soft tyres, though, when they were past their best. Of course, one of the more gripping moments under that first safety car restart, we had Alex Gillen and Benjamin Daly. Like I said, you can't get them gorilla glued off each other, honestly. What on earth would we do? But they give us all the action. Alex has to brake a bit earlier just to eye up the race leader. Gets through to turn number 2, and we all know what happens next. There's the ominous front wing of Benjamin Daly on the inside. Through he goes, just takes a bit too much speed into it, carries it, pushes Alex off the track, and then look who it is. And from GB's point of view, it's absolute limbs in the Aston Martin camp, because there goes the Mercedes man, shuffles Alex out, and through goes GB. A lovely double dose of overtaking. Absolutely fantastic. Try as he might, just couldn't get it in the end. And then I have the move that ultimately sealed that second safety car. That was Tukey. Whereas Hayden did have he had brake failure. Tukey just overcooks it. A little bit too late. Thought about trail braking. Can't steer. It's just a clumsy, clumsy accident for the Williams driver. Absolutely gutted. And that was the end of that in the context of his race. And that's everything that I got. I mean, the last few laps were absolutely gripping. Ultimately, Ben Daly was quite annoyed in a way. GB just wasn't... What's the word I can use here? Wasn't quite as aggressive as he would have wanted him to be. Although, of the other count as well, Ben could have sent it. He had the opportunity, had more battery to play with, to send it round the outside. Just couldn't quite do it, though. So... You do have to wonder. It's a case of what could have been for many, many drivers had that second safety car not come out. Ultimately, what could have been for this man right here. But, Dan, I believe it's not all bad in that camp.
No, not bad at all. Not bad at all. We will talk more about that when we get GB68 in here. But what we've got then in the meantime is, first of all, we've got the driver who finished third place in that race, and very, very sadly, I think that we all have a collective sigh of despair here because the record is broken. Benjamin Daly, you finished third place today. A very, very good race, but not the win, sadly.
I'm a record breaker. Let's go. Yeah, bit sad to not end on the W. We were up there the whole race, pulled away at the start on the softs, and really held on despite the softs being terrible. Then the rain hit, and we had some spicy battles here and there. Alex stayed out on his mediums, and we had a tussle there, and that's where I ultimately lost the track position to GB and Karim. And I was on hards for that last stint. So every time there was a safety car, I had to build myself up from zero. So like the temperatures were on the floor, and just didn't have enough laps to make my strategy pay off because I had the best tire there, but the stoppages just gave the mediums the brake that they needed, stopped them from overheating. And yeah, we were still in the fight, but Karim's pace was crazy on that last lap, and GB wasn't able to get close, so I wasn't able to execute the master plan, but it was still a good race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you mentioned there, of course, more safety cars meant then that sort of strategy offset of going onto the hards, everyone else around you on mediums, that just becomes less and less effective, essentially. In terms of the season as a whole, how do you feel it's been? Obviously, you've not really been in that championship contention, but the last few rounds, it seems as though you had maybe turned a bit of a corner in terms of maybe your understanding of the game or your just general competitiveness. What do you feel?
Yeah, I agree. I always start off a bit slow with a new F1 game. I'm focused on content. I'm not really that focused on like finding pace. So I think I approach the game a lot different to everyone else. So I end up like having to play catch up. And yeah, I feel like I've caught up now. I think if we take the standings from like Bahrain to now, I've probably got the most championship points, maybe. So that's a good kind of omen to go by. Podiums have been on the regular when I've been there. So yeah, I mean, I'm heading into next season with a bit of momentum. So yeah, it's all things are pointing towards a good season next season, I think.
Absolutely. We'll see whether you maybe get back to winning ways then. In terms of what goes on next, any sort of plans, thoughts for next season? Have you got any other cars in mind, or would you want to stick with the Merc?
I like the Merc. It's a good-looking car, and I've got a good-looking wheel for it. But there's some rumors that things are going to change next season, so that might throw any plans up in the air. That's also not to say that I'm going to stay at Merc, but we've got a few weeks off now, so I'll have a think, and depending on what the rule set is, I'll adjust accordingly. But I guess the moral of the story is expect anything, I suppose.
Absolutely. Well, that's all said and done then. Thanks very much, Ben, for not just that race, but for this season, and thank you for coming to chat to us as well.
No worries. GG's to Karim and GG's to Alex on the title. Both deserved.
There we are. He's gracious in defeat, ladies and gentlemen. So there we are then. Next up, we've of course got the man who sadly did not manage to convert that amazing sprint victory into a similar result in the main race itself, but still a very, very good effort regardless. GB68. Oh, so close yet so far, young man. You are muted, by the way.
There we go. Thank you, Dan. Yeah, no, I tried to push Karim all the way, and yeah, fair play. I think Karim, we can probably all agree, was a deserved winner, especially when you look at his pace in the wet, where he just pulled away from Alex and myself and Ben. Yeah, it was so close. Karim was very smart with how he pushed on the final lap. I love, big shout out to Karim, that there was no silly games of DRS or anything like that. It was a real hard push to the finish from myself, Ben, everyone behind. We all gave it everything. I think I heard Ben mentioning about his the temps in his tires on those hards, which probably did cost him a run on both of us. But yeah, half a tenth to the line. You don't really get much closer than that at Vegas. And really hoping Karim would kind of make the mistake that I think maybe Alex did in the past, where he didn't cover off that inside right to the start finish line, but he did. I think I was trying to just sneak my nose into there, because then that would have given me like maybe an extra tenth. But Karim covered it. So yeah, fair play to Karim.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the race itself was concerned, obviously we got those 2 safety cars late on, which did change the face of it. Up to that point, if we sort of split into sort of before and after safety cars, if you like, before safety car, what was your general mindset, way of thinking at that point there?
I think, to be honest, I just kept simplifying the whole thing, because I mean, I can see there's a lot of excitement in chat and just in general. Obviously, it's a finale. It's a championship potentially mathematically on the line, and you know, yeah, it's. I think there's a lot of. I could feel a bit of tension in chats and things, and I was just like, you know what? All I need to do is win the race. Just don't worry about anything else. I tried to get it right on the strategy with the pit stops, and I fundamentally just made a mistake on both of them. Although the second one didn't cost me too much, but anyway, yeah, that part of the race wasn't ideal. But honestly, Dan, was just kind of, you know, running on 2 hours sleep and 3 coffees, mate. I'm just trying to hang in there and focus as best I could, not miss many apexes. That was the plan.
That was the plan. It certainly was working up until a certain point. Yeah, and then sort of, you know, after the safety cars came out, everything else, it was, of course, you know, with you being on those mediums, do you feel as though that sort of was a help in terms of those safety cars coming out there, or a bit sort of meh? Very technical language I'm using there.
It's a good point, actually. I hadn't factored in if the very last safety car hadn't come out, because maybe Ben could have had a run on me and Karim, but like. Oh, sorry, not a run. Maybe Ben would have had like a tyre advantage, maybe, but even then the mediums were something like 13-14%, so I'm not sure it would have changed too much. We'll never know. Definitely the safety car, like the first one, that obviously had a humongous impact on the race, and we had a few bugs and issues with, yeah, I know, like, I don't know what happened with Alex's POV, but he passed the safety car at one point, and then Karim lost the safety car at one point. I think Bert Mylander was on a bit of a mission today, so... But no, look, hopefully for the viewers and also for myself, it did make it exciting at the end. And I mean, you can't really go wrong with a season finale, you know, scrap to the line 2-lap shootout, can you?
No, not at all, and yeah, of course we've got all of that that we've just seen there. Just a final thing, really, for the season as a whole. Obviously, first one that we've done on F125. How do you feel as though your kind of adoption rate over the season has been? Do you feel you've just gotten better and better? Do you feel you started in a worse place compared to F124? Things like that. What's your sort of general feeling of the season as a whole?
I think for me, Dan, like. Nothing's changed in 25. I don't know what happened in 24, but it was quite early on. I just had a weird moment where things just clicked a bit with just driving in general. I don't know how to explain it. Just understanding a bit more of the fundamentals. And I obviously could see that I gained a lot of pace in 24, and then I think it's just kind of carried on in 25. 25 is not too dissimilar from 24. It is different, but it's not, you know, you can still kind of manipulate the front end like you could in 24. So I think that probably helps me, probably helps Karim as well, because he was very strong at that in 24. So yeah, I think that's why you're probably seeing some of the drivers, again, mention Karim, the usual faces like Alex and Ben, up there at the top, I guess, is for that reason. I do just want to say massive shout out to Safso, because please correct me if I'm wrong, and please don't correct me actually if I'm wrong, because I will cry. I think we won the Constructors. My chat's telling me that we won the Constructors Championship. So yeah,
Well,
big round of applause to Safso, if so.
This is the thing. This is the thing. It's something I was going to save just for this very moment here for you, GB. But whilst you're not a drivers' champion, I can say that you and Aston Martin are constructors' champions of Season X. So very, very well done there. Very, very well done indeed.
I'm buzzing with that. I genuinely didn't think we'd do it. Shout out to Michael Massey in the sprint, obviously, but yeah. Otherwise, I think it's Chappers that maybe DNF'd and lost the points, which might have been crucial for McLaren. It didn't look like we were going to win it at any point in the race until the safety cars. So big shouts out to Saf. I actually undeafened in the VC to be like, no, Saf, don't box. What are you doing right at the end? But hey, he proved me wrong. He brought him a P7, did a great job, and huge points for the Greens. We take it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, there we are then. A slightly extended interview for a second place, shall we say? But I think that it was worth it, given where you were in the title race. Thank you very much, GB, not just for that race, but for this season as well.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. See you next season.
See you then. Absolutely. So that's GB done and dusted. That means we now come finally, after a long wait, and I do apologise for the wait, but he's here with us now. It's Karim70, and sir, you have won another Racing Creator Series. You have won the Las Vegas Grand Prix, the final race of Season X. How do you feel after all of that?
Oh, it was a pretty sweaty race at the front, to be honest. I didn't think I'd have this much of a pace gap to everyone else. But you get what you're given. I did the job. It was a close finish in the end. Took a while to get the safety cars, but yeah, I'm happy.
Absolutely, yeah, very close in the end. I mean, exactly as you say, as was said by GB. In fact, half a tenth between the pair of you at the line. That's not very much distance there, really. So let's play a what if game. If the race had gone on one more lap, then what do you think ends up happening? Do you think you still take home that victory, or is there just too much of an assault from the two cars behind?
It definitely would have been a lot trickier, because I obviously had to burn my whole battery to keep them behind. I think if there was one more lap, though, all three of us wouldn't have burnt so much battery, because we know there's one more lap. So potentially I could have held my position on that main straight and coming on to the final lap. And then I guess I would have tried to do the same thing, stay in P1, and just blast my whole battery on the straight, keep them away, use the dirty air in the middle sector, and try and win. But I think it definitely would have been more difficult if there was one more lap.
Absolutely. Okay, well, there you go then, folks. A little bit of interesting stuff. So in terms of what goes on next then, of course, you're already a one-time champion from Season 9. You've not, of course, been in that same hunt, not in the same way, at least, as GB and Alex at the end of this season have been. We look forward to next season, whether that's Season 11 or Season XI, whatever we end up choosing to call it. What do you think your prospects are looking like? Are you maybe a bit more like sort of, we were talking to Ben earlier on, he was talking about how he hadn't been so good at the beginning of the season, sort of felt he'd massively improved as the season went on, or do you feel a bit more like GB, where it's sort of a consistent, gradual improvement? And of course, main thing here for next season for you, what is it going to be like with no racing line?
Yeah, that's the big talking point. Of course, as many people know, today I said it was the racing line's funeral for me. So probably no championship aspirations next season if I'm racing. I would hope I improve as the season goes on, getting used to the racing line, track to track. I have done a bit of practice, and I can say from track to track, it varies a lot. Like some tracks I'm still right there, other tracks I'm nowhere. So yeah, it should be very interesting. As for this season, I think, I started off with a P17. Of course, my trusty wheel overheated. But after that, I actually settled into a bit of consistency, which is, I'd like to say, quite rare for me. I'm usually quite up and down. But yeah, I think mainly because we know I raced in every race this season. It was mainly just 3 races where I didn't score points. Maybe that's me putting myself in a dodgy position, getting unlucky, or who knows what. So yeah, it could have panned out differently if those races didn't happen, but that's racing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to racing without the racing line, and hopefully it's a fun adventure.
I think it shall be, and we're all going to cheer you on regardless. We want to see someone be able to switch off the racing line and still be as competitive as you are. It'd be a great thing to see. Well, thanks very much for joining us then, Karim, and we will see you for next season.
Yep, thank you. See you guys later.
See you then. All right then, and now we don't have Alex Gillen in the interview waiting room. We do have one driver. Maybe we could pull them in and we can get them to pretend to be Alex. Maybe. Let's try this. Let's just try this. See what happens. He's probably not going to be expecting this particular instruction from me here. But Raz and Chai, let's pretend that you're Alex Gillen for a second for us. Okay? Can you do that for me? A little bit of acting. Yeah. Okay. Alex Gillen, you are the champion of Season X in Creator Series. How do you feel?
Oh, it's so great, guys. I just can't believe it was just absolutely chaotic. But, you know, we won the championship. That's all that matters, man. Puts on a bulk up. But, yeah, there you go.
There you go. That was brilliant. Fantastic. Thank you. We'll use that for the socials. We'll have a little bit of Photoshop and other things going on. It's great. I don't think anyone will be able to tell the difference, frankly, even though we've got your picture up on screen. But there we go. I'll tell you what, one quick question for you, the actual Razin. How was your race?
Yeah, it was a bit different. Qualifying didn't really go my way, so I decided to, rather than starting like P10, P9, I decided, why not, just start the back. And I did enjoy it. Going through the field in the rain. I think after the rain it got a bit dead, so the safety car helped that out. But yeah, I don't know, it didn't really have anything else, couldn't really do much. I felt like the guys in front obviously were working together, not really overtaking, so at that point you kind of just stuck. Which is a bit of a shame, but it was a decent all-around race, a bit of chaos at the end, obviously with the cars behind and with collisions and whatnot with a few drivers. But yeah, most importantly, we took our first cleanest driver point, and that gave me a position above Karim in standings.
Well, there we go then. There we go. That's not a bad way to finish out the season, is it? And looking forward to next season?
Yeah, I think next season will be interesting. You know, still the big runners obviously still going to be there. Obviously, depends on what formats going forwards we'll have to see. But yeah, I think it'll be good to have a little break off. But I don't expect myself to be in the fight really too much. I'll be probably missing quite a few races. But I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. As you should. As you should. Well, Alex/Razin, thank you very much for coming in and having a chat to us. We will see you next time.
Take care, guys.
All right. There we are then. So let's take a final review then of the drivers' standings. So there is your confirmation. Alex Gillen is the champion, who we've definitely just been talking to, for Season X. 221 points in the kitty and keeping himself in that title run the whole way through. Really consistent at the start, lots of wins, lots of high scores and everything else there. We've then got GB68, of course, a valiant effort in the end, 203 points, the only two drivers to breach that 200 points barrier. And of course, that was that. Then, of course, as Razin mentions there, 173 points for him. That one bonus point slots him ahead of Karim in 4th place, then 5th for Meraki, 6th for Formula Kai, 7th for Benjamin Daly, and his streak of winning in every season comes to an end. Then it's Fabio with what I think is his best season in Creator Series so far. The stats people will put me to rights if that's not correct. 106 points there. Guats in 9th and Lolly in 10th. Carl, I'm going to throw over to you for our second half of the standings.
Thank you, kind sir. So Hayden Gullis bows out of Creator Series, but bows out with 11th place, very nearly. I say nearly. It was 36 points, but besides that, it was very, very close for the V-Carb driver. That guy Vince in P12, Tom in 13th, 49. Joint on points with him is Ricky. 1 point behind him, Safso. Nagera 16th, Adam Sanderson on 40 points. 18th, Tom 97. Scotty Designs, by the way, 19th place, and M Skyzy rounding out our top 20 with 30 points. Very close if you look past the top two. Very, very close, particularly Razin and Karim. Not too much separating them for the final podium place in the Drivers' Championship.
No, not very much at all. Not very much at all. And if, of course, it had ended up equal on points, I think I'm right in saying that I think Karim had more victories than Razin this season, so therefore he would have won it on the countback. So that last point there, all important. All very, very important indeed. But there we are then. we've got ourselves a season done, basically. Well, let's have a look now at the constructor standings. The confirmation there then of exactly what we were saying before with GB. Aston Martin are constructors champions. It's him, that guy Vince, as the main two drivers, but as he says, could not have done it without that extra performance there from Safso today, able to pick up a bunch of positions, load of points there, and without those, we would not have seen Aston crowned constructors champions. It would have been a clean sweep for Team Papaya, which, whilst that is likely to be what happens in the real world this season, it was not to be the case in Creator Series Season X. Of course, we've had loads of people getting involved in the Creator Series broadcast over the course of this season. We've got people like, of course, George Morgan and others who you're the familiar faces you've seen before. Lots of new faces as well, but definitely our stalwarts are the three sat beside me here. I'm just the Muppet who comes in and causes chaos every now and then. I'm not as important as these guys. These guys are so essential that the next pandemic, we're going to be out and clapping for them every Thursday evening. If you're not from the UK, that joke doesn't make any sense, but there we go. So let's just come now for some final thoughts at the end of the season from these very distinguished gentlemen you see before us here. Tom Knight, we'll start with you first of all.
I think it's been a fantastic season all across the board. It's been a battle of consistency for Gillen. He's had those weeks off, but the weeks that he's been here has really paid off for that. And that's where he's really kind of felt the trickle-down effect. GB's, yes, he's missed the races, but the mistakes kind of piled up through the season, and it just left too much for him to do today.
Absolutely, yeah. Tom Wilkinson, anything from you, sir?
Oh, no.
You're muted.
Preferably with yourself unmuted.
No, I thought I would get through the whole season without doing it. And to think that I always criticise people for doing it. I've completely lost my train of thought as well. It was interesting to see. I've got it back. It was interesting to see the fluctuations in performance throughout the season. I think it sets us up really nicely going into season 11, whatever season 11 or whatever it's called will be. We still don't know. That's a little bit up in the air. But I think the right champion we had in the end, and we had some really nice storylines going throughout the season as well.
Absolutely. And then Carl, of course, any moments stand out as being particularly noteworthy for you, maybe in any of the Italian rounds, perhaps?
No, I can't think of them really. Disregarding Imola, what a season it's been. Honestly, it's been great to see them learning the ropes of F1 25. It's great to see what content they've churned out week after week, the battles that they've had, the racing respect, the chaos, the controversy, and everything in between. It's been a pleasure to be a part of it, and I think everyone alongside me can agree with me. It's been an absolute pleasure to be introduced into the cauldron that has been F1 25. But to also be a wonderful part of presenting and commentating this Creator Series season. Shout outs to all of you for watching. Love and appreciate you.
There we go, and I've now got to keep the audience grounded. You're all right. You're fine. We like you. I'm not sure if we go so far as to say we love you. To be honest with you, it's you're good folk, most of you, except for that, those people. And if you're one of them, you know who you are. You know what you did. Anyway, so we've got our season wrapped up then. Big thanks to everybody who you've seen on your screens and behind the scenes. Of course, a big shout out naturally to Gareth Allen, who is behind the scenes here. He very rarely comes onto the microphone these days, but he runs all the broadcasts, which means that he is responsible for selecting Saudi Arabia as a background earlier on for the Las Vegas track, amongst various other wonderful things that he does over the course of a season. And yes, it's been a very, very good time involved for everybody. And I'm sure that you will come back and join us all again for the next season. But whatever it is you choose to do, I hope that you enjoy it. We'll do one last quick runabout of everybody in here. TK, where can the good people of the internet find you, apart from that one dodgy website which we won't mention?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. The Online Safety Act has prohibited that in about 3 countries at the moment. But you can't find me, and I'll tell you where, under a bus, if you know, you know. But you can find me on social media at They Call Me TK on pretty much every single social media.
Absolutely. Tom Wilkinson, over to you, sir.
I'm also not underneath the bus, which is ideal, of course. On Twitter and Twitch, it's at TW6. On Instagram and TikTok, wilker.darts or wilker.coms.
There we are. Carl, to you.
Well, I'll tell you once again, for the final time in Season X, where you can't find me, the canals of Cambodia. Do they have canals? I'll leave that for you to decide, but you won't find me there. Where you will find me, Carl Poranic. Type that in pretty much anywhere. You'll probably find me there. And finally, Dan Gilligan, where can the people find you?
to me. Well, in terms of all of where I can be found, hopefully nowhere. Leave me alone. Why are you people following me all around the internet? It's very strange. If you do want to, then my Instagram is at DA Gilligan. If you want to follow me on Twitch, where I stream maybe once every 5 months, then that's twitch.tv/Daniel Gilligan. Spelled exactly as you see it on the screen here, because Gareth Allen is many things, but he doesn't misspell my name, which I'm very appreciative of. That has been Creator Series Season X. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I guess, well, goodbye.